Alright everyone, welcome back to Blood in the Streets Dota 2 Championship, brought to you guys by FirstBlood.io and Antlion Audio. I am the source, and joining me today, Skim Gaming and Drag and Drop Dota. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Nice to be here as always.
Yeah, same for me. Looking forward to this best of three.
Awesome. So today we have got Planet Dog, the former Pro Dota roster, minus, I believe, one player, correct?
Yes,
Yep.
minus Garter plus Swift Ending.
Okay, and they will be up against Gambit Esports in the semifinals. We're in the upper bracket. Winner will move on to the winners bracket finals. Loser will drop down to the lower bracket. I don't think I know who they'd be playing up against. Let me double check. Actually, we do. They would be up against. No, we don't. We don't. We know the answer of the other one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that
Either
it
Singularity
transitioned.
or NG in the upper bracket, I think.
Yeah. So Singularity versus Anji will play. The loser of that will play Danish Bears, and then the loser of Planet Dog versus Gambit Esports will play the winner of Crescendo versus M19, which is yet to play. So we are moving along throughout the bracket, so we've got plenty of matches to go. But why don't we talk a little bit more about this game between these two teams? What do you guys think that Swift Ending kind of brings to X Pro Dota and now Planet Dog in comparison?
Um, that's a good question. I've yet to see them play, but in fact, these two teams played in this configuration against each other in Pro Dota Cup just 2 days ago, and Planet Dog beat them 2-0. So maybe it's a kind of extra bit of a spice that they needed, because towards the end, Pro Dota, they had some differences with Garter, and that reflected on their gameplay. So maybe Swift Ending is just maybe it's just the type of player that gels more with the rest of the team on a personal level. And from a player perspective, I think he's can fill the same roles as Garter did in one position just as competently.
I think that Swift Ending has a bit of a more aggressive playstyle and aggressive hero pool as well. I think if you look towards his signature heroes, you look at the likes of like Slark, Weaver. Um, whereas if I think Garter, I'm not saying Garter can't play these heroes, but I think Garter's sort of comfort zone lies more in the sort of traditional cores, traditional like hard carries. I look more towards something along the lines of the Juggernaut, the Sven, just something I guess I would categorize as a bit safer. Whereas Swift Ending to me has always been a more aggressive core. So maybe this has played a role in it, but I think much like Dragon Drop pointed out, I think this is more of an interpersonal issue, or rather solution, rather than in terms of like individual skill or anything. I think if I had to compare Swift Ending and Garter, both in terms of individual skill, I'd say that both are pretty much on the same level right now. Though I will say that I think Swift Ending, when he first broke into the scene, I think he showed a bit more potential, and a lot of people had sort of envisioned him to be a bit more, a bit of a like bigger and stronger player, and sometime down the road. But he hasn't really had that breakthrough just yet, like a really really big breakthrough. But maybe with Planet Doc he can.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the only other notable team that's played before this would have been Elements Pro Gaming. And then, at least on joindota.com, is listed on a couple of other names that I do not recognize. So I play part of as having been a part of those teams. So it's yeah, Planet Dog, definitely a team to look out for, especially with the TI qualifiers coming up as well.
Swift Ending had his first sort of like I wouldn't call it a breakthrough, but where people sort of started to get to know him and respect him and recognize him was with Mama's Boys, when he played with
Oh yeah,
Pycat, EGM, Yapzor at some with Saksa as well. So that squad that was really strong, or it had a lot of potential. It was one of those typical Euro mixes that you knew wasn't really going to get anywhere, but you could see that. I mean, a lot of players from that squad eventually went on and moved on to like bigger teams. I mean, Yaps or Saksa are now world class supports, right? But they had their start to Mama's Boys, and similarly to them, some people did expect Swift Ending. He looked very talented, and a lot of people did think, hey, maybe this is going to be another guy. I mean, another talent that can break into the scene, but like you said, he after that he didn't really. I mean, he's played a lot with Elements Pro Gaming, and he did look you know decent enough, but it just never really lived up to the sort of like potential that some people saw in him. But to be fair, I think people were sort of or some people were overhyping him anyway. With Mama's Boys, I think it's totally fine to for him to have like a year or a
5
year and a half to
seconds
sort of develop
remaining.
still. But I do think that, or I do hope rather, that this is going to be sort of like the Swift Endings year, like from here on out, to break into the scene as
Radiant
some sort of
team pick.
talented core, because he is really talented.
Well, let's see if his aggressive play style will favor that of Planet Dog. And let's get a little bit into this draft. We've already got Clockwork Bane, Queen of Pain, and Night Stalker, plus a myriad of bands. Why don't you guys delve a little deeper?
5
Um,
seconds remaining.
yeah, there's not too much that you can say right now about
Reserve
like the
time.
big overarching strategy. You can definitely see a lot of puzzle pieces already, especially if Planet Dark with the Clockwork, just a super solid 4 position. You always have that ambiguity of, okay, maybe we put him in 3 position after all. Because 33 also not the worst Clockwork player in the world, but with Bane you say, all right, we're gonna stabilize the mid lane presumably, because Bane is one of these heroes that can stick around there and create a lot of problems, even for a hero like the Queen of Pain, who is an excellent 1v1 hero in most matchups, but cannot necessarily deal with 2 heroes at the same time. So that's something that Gambit esports already have to try and account for.
This is actually a funny matchup because, like I said, they both just played each other recently, but they're also both teams that really like the Queen of Pain and favor her very early on. I will say we've seen a lot of Queen of Pain crop up in this meta in general, but I think these two teams especially, we've seen. I think we were casting them just last week. They prioritize Queen of Pain in the first phase as well.
Dire
So seeing
team
Gambit
pick.
immediately going for the Queen of Pain sort of tells us that even though they don't always go for it, they know that Planet Dog also love the Queen of Pain, so they immediately snatched up to make sure that they deny it from Planet Dog, who, Kaiser, I think, showed us a superb Queen of Pain last week.
10
So you really
Oh,
do
yeah.
seconds
not want to give
remaining.
him that comfort pick, that comfort zone. So, like you said, I do think
5
these two
seconds
heroes, they sort of
remaining.
spell, all right, we want to have stable lanes. Bane is one of the best supports at harassing and trading off
Reserve
because
time.
his stats are amazing as a support, and of course he does have brain saps, so any trait that he does engage in is always going to be favorable for him. Enfeeble is a lane dominating skill. If you cast it on any mid laner, bye bye CS. And Clockwork, I think, has shown that he's one of the most annoying supports in the
Radiant
current meta right
team
now,
pick.
especially as a force support. So Gambit Esports, they have to be careful, but they have picked up some good counters. Night Stalker is an excellent counter towards Bane because of he too is very tanky, can trade very favorably, and he does have a silence and a disrupt in the
10
void.
seconds
So
remaining.
Buoyant Ultimate can be cancelled. And Rubik is a traditional counter sort of
5
towards a
seconds
Clockwork. If
remaining.
Clockwork walks in and cogs somebody, he just lift him out, and of course he
Dire
can steal
team
all of
pick.
Bane's spell as well. So
Yeah.
I very much like Gambit's draft, and not so much anymore, just because they pick up the Ogre Magi, meaning that it's going to be an offlane Night Stalker. But I still think they're prepared. It definitely seems like they're prepared for Planet Dog
10
after that
seconds
2-0 loss
remaining.
in the what was it, Pro Dota League, something along those lines.
5
Proto Cup, yeah.
seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
So yeah, I do agree. I mean, this draft in the second phase, I actually kind of like it from Gambit,
Reserve
as you said,
time.
with the Rubik, good against the Clockwork, great against the Bane, especially since you should have no problem stealing a channeled ultimate like the Fiend script if Bane isn't careful about what
Legion
particular
Commander.
situation he
Radiant
uses it
team
in.
ban.
So in that sense, it's a hero pick that could get a lot done. And then picking up the Orga Magi, yeah, it's, as you said, would put the Night Stalker in the 3 position, which is less effective because it's much more obvious when he's leaving
10
the lane to
seconds
gank
remaining.
at nighttime. Like the flip side is you do
5
get a
seconds
little bit more
remaining.
experience and gold to work with
Dire
into these
team
earlier
ban.
items like an urn, like face boots, to try and be more effective in that front. And considering these tanky heroes that Planet Dog is picking up right now, he's definitely going to need those to have the same kind of impact that we sometimes see them um, that we generally expect from a Night
10
Stalker.
seconds remaining.
Interesting pickup
5
from Planet Dog
seconds
to go for the
remaining.
Legion Commander. I think that Gambit Esports, obviously it's a good counter towards the Queen of Pain. I wouldn't call it
Dire team
an
pick.
easy duel by any means, but you do have a bit of burst damage with Clockwork, Bane, and the Dragon Knight. They all have sort of bursty spells, so there's some sort of synergy there, and there's a lot of pickup potential there. But in Ogre Magi and Night Stalker, there are two very tanky heroes on Gambit Esports sides that you don't
10
really want to
seconds
initiate
remaining.
upon. So I'm not too sure about this Legion Commander, especially
5 seconds
because in the laning
remaining.
stage against Rubik and against Ogre Magi, that is very difficult. Even if you dual lane Legion Commander and
Radiant
Bane,
team pick.
Rubik and Ogre Magi should most of the time still do fairly well against them. Especially, obviously it depends also on Gambit Esports carry, but generally speaking, I'm not sure if this laning configuration for Planet Dog is really going to work out with the Legion.
10 seconds
Again,
remaining.
I do think it's a great hero against the Queen of Pain. It's an excellent sort of counter against the Queen of
Five
Pain and her
seconds
mobility.
remaining.
But I think it's going to be a bit difficult for the lane because, as we pointed out, you pick Bane and
Reserve
Clockwork to
time.
sort of like stabilize your lanes. But can you
Yep.
really stabilize the Legion Commander's lane and the DK's lane at the same time? I am not too sure about that, especially because, again, Gambit Esports have two excellent supports against Planet Dog as well. Ogre Magi is super tanky support, one of the most annoying four positions as well. Much before Clockwork four position was a thing.
10
Ogre Magi
seconds
used to be like
remaining.
the go-to annoyance hero, right?
Yeah.
So, and with the Sven, I think they have a lot of killing potential in this tri lane. So I
Yeah.
am not happy about Planet. Like if I was Planet Dog's offlaner right now, I would not be happy.
Absolutely. So I wouldn't be too surprised if you see him just say, "All right, Legion Commander. If you can't get anything on there, just go straight for the Iron Talon, straight into the jungle, and only appear there if the lane's being pushed in." Because that's still that fallback that Legion Commander still gives you in this day and age. And then you have a hero that can at least get something. Supports are free to put on pressure on mid as well as the top lane, to perhaps set up even for some early pushes on the back of the Lycan. So in that sense, I do want to say I do like Planet Dog's lineup a little bit more. Even with the Sven last pick, it's one of these heroes that can get totally out of control. But in this game, you only have his own stun, whatever Ruby can pick up on top of his telekinesis, and the Yoga Magi Fire Blast, what's mediocre at best in terms of locking people down enough, especially when you're thinking about Legion Commando can purge off slows, a Dragon Knight who's fairly tanky, will blink daggers and whatnot. Like there's a lot of ways for Planet Dog to kite around the Sven, make sure that you can't hit targets, and then what you're left with in the mid game is a little bit of burst from Night Stalker, just on the back of the Void being still very strong, and then the Queen of Pain. And I don't see that being enough eventually to just chew through Planet Dog's pure tankiness that they have on 4 of their 5 heroes.
Oh yeah, I definitely favor Planet Dog's lineup as well. I think once Planet Dog gets going, they have a lot of push potential in Gambit. What's their deep push really? They have Fate Bolt and then I guess Pain nukes, but
Queen of Pain, yeah.
that's not really great deep push. So I think definitely going into this mid game, I highly favor Planet Dog. And like you said, they're super tanky. Even their supports are very tanky. You can't really easily burst them down. And I did point out that I don't like the Night Stalker offlane because, and, I mean, I've highlighted this in previous casts, but I think the Night Stalker as an offlaner just soaks up too much farm for a hero that is better suited as a 4 position. A lot of the items that you could pick up, you can also pick up as a support, in my opinion. The gold that you get, I don't know what do you really invest into it. You Aghanims, in my opinion, is not a great item on a Night Stalker these days, just because of the change to Hunter in the Night. You don't really need a pipe in this game. What we've seen from LGD and LFY, for example, what they do in the Night Stalker is pick up utility items like a pipe, but you don't really need that, and you can't really pick up a mech because it takes too much. It costs too much mana. So I'm not too sure how I feel about this Night Stalker. I mean, there's not a lot of heroes that you can really gank on Planet Dog's side.
Yeah.
I will say though that, and this is I'm harping on this Legion Commander on Planet Dog side, but I think, or I'm doing this because I think they could have picked up maybe a more sort of like team fighty offlaner, something along the lines of like a Tide Hunter to secure their push. Because if they really had like a Tide Hunter, there's no way Gambit Esports can really engage into their 5-man push really. The Legion Commander does give them the option of ganking together with the Bane of the Clockwork, but again, Sven is pretty tanky, Ogre Magi is pretty tanky, Night Stalker is fairly tanky. You can really only reliably kill Rubik and sort of Queen of Pain, but then you also have to rely on the fact that nobody else is around because Gambit Esports drafted so many disables. Every single hero aside from the Queen of Pain has a sort of disable, right? They can cancel TPs, they can cancel channel spells. I think their lineup sort of counters the Legion Commander sort of well, but they do not counter the pushing aspect of Planet Dog's lineup at all, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I think a lot will come down to how they lane and how big of an advantage they can acquire in the laning stage, and sort of delay this
Yeah.
inevitable push that's coming from Planet Dog.
Yeah, and on that background, I'm not sure how much emphasis or how much stake Planet Dark really put into the Legion Commander in this game. Because looking at these other heroes, with the Dragon Knight as well, so Lycan, you're probably going to look to end the game about 30, 35 minutes, 40 minutes at most. So Legion Commander, you're not necessarily looking at that hero as that free position to deal additional damage in the late game, but rather just to have that duel that's a secure lockdown, a little bit of wave clear as well with the overwhelming odds, and some nice little utility just from the press the attack. Just focus more on these aspects of the hero um, instead of just the abilities to stack up damage and then turn into an unbelievable hard hitter. Bam.
Planet
Do you
Dark
see-
is getting schooled in Battle
Yeah, I know,
Pass
right?
levels.
Still lower than my average stacks though. Also because my own compendium is level 450 or something like that right now.
Alright, that is insane.
Yeah.
Prepare for battle.
Yeah, game number 1 here in the winner brackets semi-finals of the Blood on the Streets tournament. My name is Dragondrop, I'm joined by Skim. This is of course brought to you by firstblood.io. Speaking of First Blood, where do you see this happening? It's kind of a tough call to make with Milan on the clockwork. Probably
That should
looking
be
for
fine.
one earlier than late, rather than
Actually,
later.
no,
It's
he's
gonna
getting
get some help
greedy now.
now. Follow-up stun comes through. Do you have enough damage here? Overwhelming odds for Legion Commander and Bignum, yeah? He's gonna die now, Milan. With that a bit of extra help, and yeah, his own tankiness. No real counterplay potential there from Gambit.
Well, I guess that was the first blood. And it's
30
still
seconds to
sort of
battle.
fine for Gambit because Rubik is at least gonna be here again for like it could have been much worse. If he had died just as the creeps were spawning, he would have had to walk back to walk back to base all the way through. But this is still fine for them. But it's a great pickup. And yeah, if you look at Milan, he already has the Windlace queued up. He can buy them now, so he can have what 380? Yeah, 380 movement speed at level 1. Good
That is
luck
insane.
playing against this
Battle
clockwork.
begins.
Good luck, honestly. This Queen of Pain is gonna have the worst time in the world. You can have Ogre Magi and a Rubik in the mid lane. I don't think the clockwork is gonna care, if the clockwork goes to mid.
Yeah, eventually, it's probably one of these targets that you're gonna look towards. I mean, Ogre Magi are one of these heroes that's I don't know. Can he actually trade with the Clockwork right now, like this?
It's okay. He has look at the armor he has. 8 armor, and he has 700 HP. It's okay. It's the Bane that he needs to be careful about, in my opinion.
So right-clicking him here with the range advantage, brain step still available, and always want to fly. Well, down to 200 health points.
You are simply not worthy.
There's these nukes and these constant right clicks that you can't really trade because you're melee form. Starts to add up here.
I guess something that I didn't really I sort of overlook when I discussed the Legion Commander and the fact, that she should have a Revelating stage is the fact that Ogre Magi will probably never spend much time with that lane anyway because he needs to help the Queen of Pain. So you can sort of avoid an awkward or a bad laning situation by just forcing the support towards another lane, which Planet Dog is effectively doing. Like this Ogre Magi can probably never leave his mid lane because otherwise Queen of Pain would never get CS.
Yeah. Especially here with this big creep wave actually being shoved right on the tower. There's plenty of creeps to tank tower shots in case Planet Dog were to like try and dive in, get a couple of extra right clicks here onto Kuman himself. But as it stands, they're just trying to disrupt as much of the last hits as possible. To decent success, 5-2 here towards the 8-2 of Kaiser right now.
This is Dota these days. You just have dual lane. I mean, it has been Dota for a while now. Dual lane versus dual lane mid, really.
Yeah. Always fun flies losing this one. I mean, especially with Bloodlust level 1. That's kind of a curious skill to pick up. Normally you see at least 1 point up into the Ignite to start the damage over time. Goes for the Fire Blast now, but the Nightmare here onto Queen of Pain will keep her from chasing any further. But now they get the lift off on Bane as Big He found himself an Endless Rune. Gonna set up for a kill here onto J4. Brain Stab is good, but it's not good enough.
That was
So that reveal Pretty good find there from Bignum. Turning that Invis rune into kill opportunity. Milan just a little bit too late on rotation. He's been spending some time on top, getting his level 2. So now have the cogs to work with. Now Bignum, he's in a bit of trouble. Does have the lift available. We'll plop him back and
380 movement speed.
yeah, I was wondering whether Milan would go for it and try and chase him. Now with the
Oh!
roots? Did
If
he not
he
see
had
it?
seen
He
that.
didn't see it. Oh no. Might still be able to run him down here. Now 5 seconds on the telekinesis. Yeah, just pluck him in the cogs.
Oh,
Didn't
he
even
missed
get him
the
out.
left out.
So this should be a kill, unless always one fly comes in extra movement speed. Tanks some of these rockets, but not enough.
Death in a can.
380 movement speed.
Power of the
That's-
clockwork right here.
Yep.
That's
Way
why
too
that
powerful.
hero's picked so often.
Looks like all supports have sort of unanimously decided to leave the mid lane alone. Now that both mids have sort of had their starts. It's definitely necessary because both Queen of Pain and DK sort of lost a lot of levels just because of this constant dual lane mid. Lycan versus Night Stalker doesn't really need too much help anyways, so I think we're seeing something that I sort of expected, or you know, we probably should have seen from the get-go, sort of like dual lane, tri-lane versus tri-lane bottom here. Ogre will finally rotate here as well, and I think we will see some sort of like kill attempts anytime soon. Sven still has a mango, so he hasn't really been able to use any spells so far. I wouldn't be surprised if that changes anytime soon.
No. Problem with the Sven though is he's a decent farmer, he's decent right click damage, but doesn't have any attack speed to speak of. So he isn't actually that big of a damage dealer in lane early on. Unless you're focusing heavily on Stormer. But now he made rotation up top with the first nighttime here. Cheshire Cat got a couple of spells off. They don't end up going for the kill because, well, Lycan himself, pretty tanky hero as well, especially with the Puma shield to work with. And
Interesting rotation.
the Howl as well here, down bottom, always on a fly, gets caught in the cogs, and Milan gets that one instead.
Interesting rotation. Probably Sven calling, yo guys, I'm not getting a lot of CS down here. He
No.
did play against the Legion, and then at some point the Bane joined him as well for like a sort of dual lane. And, well, that's probably a dead Rubik? Yeah, should be.
Milan is there, should be able to press the attack to even cancel the telekinesis. It's an easy kill. Dominating speed already for Milan. 4-0. Got every single one of Planet Dark skills right now. Middle lane though, Kaiser, well, he knows that something is perhaps amiss at nighttime. Gotta be a bit careful about your positioning here. So he's not going across the river just yet. And if you were to do it, then Cheshire Cat might be able to swoop in and set up for a kill.
Well, they know that Night Stalker has to be somewhere trying to do something. He has been gone from the top lane for like a solid minute now. He didn't show up bottom, so there's a high chance he's mid here. And yeah, indeed, he's just trying to look for a kill, but ultimately he's just wasting a lot of time.
Yep. Hopping all the way around, looking for someone in the jungle. Now perhaps it's J4 looking for the rune, but it's in this rune, of course. Better pick it up right now though. Nightmare. Want to get a kill off of that on top of the rune. Or perhaps now with Cheshire Cat revealing his intentions, they're gonna go put a decent amount of damage onto Kaiser here. Stickshot is keeping him alive. Cheshire Cat forced to die, but now the stun into the cogs. He ends up dying under the tier 1 tower. Kaiser with pulse of steroid there, just going for the turnaround into the instant stun. Now they can just shrine it up, go for it again.
Bit
Try and
awkward.
chase Kuman off, who's now grabbed a CS lead at the very least.
Queen of Pain did have level 6, but she chose not to skill Sonic Wave, which is not uncommon. A lot of Queen of Pains don't skill at level 6. I mean, how often do you really get to use it at level 6? But that would have been a case where you could have used it for a secure kill.
No, top lane, Prep Run once again. Milan leading the charge, tanks the tower like a boss, and well, his favorite to punch him back is a target. Bignum here weaves, ducks and weaves, but now Swift standing with the ultimate will be able to run it down. Always want to fly. Ultimate rotation as well as Duck's hack gets stun off, but now it's just being run down. The brain stab, a couple of swipes here despite the extra armor, not enough. And Swift ending grabs himself a double kill. Nightmare on one, that's Kuman taken out, always want to fly. Well, takes the Nightmare actually still alive because of it. Now Milan will have to try and run away. They call the retreat and they all get out for now. Okay, never mind. Milan, does he really want to go for this? He does. He
Really
pops
gonna
the
go
battery
for it.
assault. The creeps are there. Always want to fly. Has to rely on these procs, but inside the cogs see his car. He still ends up dying in Milan just for the casual TP out. I don't think Gambit was expecting that one.
Well, that's 400 movement speed for you. With the
Absolutely
tranquil
ridiculous.
boots and an extra wind lace.
With broken tranquil boots.
Oh, at
425 with
425, yeah. That is beyond ridiculous, this support clockwork. Planet Dog getting away with murder there. Got a bit greedy towards the end, but it sort of still worked out. They could have almost gotten the Ogre Magi if they had timed it a little bit better. Crewman getting pushed by this Dragon Knight. He should be fine though with the Shrine, yeah. That's a bit unfortunate. First Dragon form sort of wasted.
Yeah,
Ideally,
I think that's
with
too
the
many
first
hits on the
Dragon form, you
tower.
want to. Yeah, ideally you definitely want to like pressure the tower.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally you get the tower, but at least pressure the tower. But he tried to go for a kill, which if he had gotten the kill, it would have been just as good.
Yeah. Well, ultimately though, not the best kill potential solo, so you needed someone else to rotate through. But Milan would be probably the one that you're looking towards, but he was still licking his wounds and recovering in base after that last kill. But yeah, with all this action happening up top, 33. It's actually getting quite a lot down here in the bottom lane on this Legion Commander. And it's also one of these heroes that he can play extremely well. So if he gets off to a quick Blink Dagger, might just see this game blow up in favor of Planet Dog. Just on the back of some Blink duels, some good catches on a Queen of Pain, shutting Kuman down and removing that particular threat factor from Gambit to some extent.
This is a really troublesome game for Gambit. Though the lanes didn't go their way at all, even though you sort of. I think they wanted to be ahead in lane. I mean, that's why they have the Ogre mid the entire time.
That's a dead Ogre, by the way.
It's a duel
Duel
as
is
well.
ready, so they will be able to hold on to it a little bit. Until they can be sure they have enough burst damage, so it's plus 10 for the Legion Commander.
Yep. Again, this is worrisome. You lost all three lanes pretty much, even though Queen of Pain and DK are on par in terms of CS. That's sort of actually losing it because you want to be ahead as the Queen of Pain.
Yep.
And the Lycan had completed freeform. The Legion had freeform, even though she was an offlaner. And your supports keep dying towards this Milan clockwork.
Cheshire Cat at daytime cannot outrun Milan. So pops ultimate, he still dies though to the nukes. Has to try and fly across the cars because he still gets popped by the mana boat. Now Kuman comes in here, they want to try and make a trade out of it here, but the Nightmare keeps away for the time being. But now Ogre Magi taking it off, but the ult is not good enough to finish off J4. Thanks for the press the attack. So ultimately,
Also
that's
Sonic Wave
a dead
committed.
hero, a wasted Sonic Wave, yeah. And it's not even over yet. Always want to fly, gets run down again with Swift Ending Mix rotation. Together with Milan, of course, the one guy, 6-0-4, 10 out of 11 is his skill participation.
Well, they just don't see the Rubik. They know that he's there, though. They should know.
They find him.
They see
Yeah.
him.
The lift
It's
comes
another
out
duel.
into the cogs, pushing him back into the duel. Easy kill, easy money.
Yeah, this is not pretty for Gambit, to be honest. If you look at the net worth disadvantage, it's almost 6k, and this is without a single tower taken. And 2 towers are about to be taken as well, so the advantage is going to just skyrocket, or drop even further, I should say, for Planet Dog.
Yeah.
And
Just
they were
comes net worth, but also experience. Like if you look at the levels,
Yep.
all 3 cores are level 9 already on the side of Planet Dog. And the supports also hit their level 6s.
Yeah, that is the crucial one, the crucial part. The fact that the supports hit level 6s with the Fiend script, it's an easy kill on the Queen of Pain, the hook shot as well. Like they have so many ways to set up for kills right now, and they have so many ways to also get solo kills, which I guess is something we didn't really consider too much. But the Clockwork is like an excellent solo killer actually. So this is very worrisome for Gambit, whose recovery method really isn't there. What's the mid game really? I guess they could sort of smoke up and run at people. They have a sort of like face rush lineup in that regard. The Queen of Pain, Sven, and the Night Stalkers. Sven and Night Stalker like an old sort of like face rush tactic, but they just don't have the items or the levels for it.
Yeah, the only other recourse is to just stack up Ancients and farm them with the Sven and hope that she can carry you, but talked about it earlier in the draft here, especially with all these tools and all this momentum available on the side of Planet Dog. You're gonna have 4 staffs, you're gonna have just the entire Clockwork toolset refined as well, and so many things to try and kite around the Sven, so that you cannot necessarily rely on him to be able to do the damage that you need, even with the farm that you're getting with these ancient stacks.
I want Milan just to build a Yasha to just get max movement speed on this clockwork. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they're about to force a fight at the tier 2. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
top
bad
lane
Night
always
Stalker.
when a fly gets run down, but yeah, Night Stalker caught on the feed scope at the same time, so there'll be 2 kills for the price of 1. And Vignum also in a really bad spot. I want to wait for the blink here. Feed scope stole, no, I don't really care.
They were just waiting, they were just running around the Rubik like, yo guys, I have
Yeah.
duel, can you please not kill him? And like, oh, okay. That's 4 towers in the span of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, so...
Yeah.
Gambit Esports, they just... Again, I think this comes down to the draft. I think their lanes could have worked out, and even if their lanes didn't work out, or even if their lanes had worked out, what kind of answer would they have had towards this Planet Dog push? Again, they just don't have any deep push to deal with all of this, and the fact that they did lose their lanes just means that they are at like an even bigger disadvantage now. And this Queen of Pain, which is sort of, I guess I wouldn't call it the solution to everything, but the Queen of Pain is sort of supposed to be like the mid-game aggressor, the mid-game sort of like tempo controller, but you can't be because, well, there's like a clockwork here.
Get the cogs off here. Now 4 kills around him. Can he kill Milan? Is a big question. The answer is no. J4, good position for defensive hook shot.
Yeah,
And
that's
that'll be that.
It's a 4K net worth clockwork. He's higher net worth than the offlane Night Stalker.
Well, he has
That
6
is
kills and
difficult
7
to kill.
assists, so yeah.
True.
It's definitely a good reason for that net worth advantage. But yeah, it's Planet Dog. That is that push that we were talking about. Lycan and the Dragon Knight on top of the CS shots. So every single time that there's a Dragon form available, you can probably muscle down the tower if you really want to. And well, they're already taking over the jungle. Still a few Radiant side wards to try and keep track of it, but they went in through the lanes. Will only now be spotted, I believe.
I think
Not
the
sure
one
if they even
thing
saw them.
I think the one thing that we can point out towards for Planet Dog, and something that they sort of aren't doing quite as well as they could, is Roshan control. I think with their lineup, if they had Clockwork instead of like picking up drums, had like a medallion. The same actually for Bane, who has Urn. If he had a medallion now, they could have Roshan. They could have gone
Yep.
Roshan. There's almost nothing that Gambit can do to really contest because they can't really fight into this right now. And even if they did, I think that Planet Dog would have the upper hand. So I think this is something worth considering for Planet Dog, and something that Gambit... It's like an upside for Gambit, right? The fact that Planet Dog isn't maximizing on their advantage right now. Like Planet Dog could be running away with this much more than they already are. So I think this is something worth considering, and something worth thinking about. Just keep Roshan control. They have one ward in front of the Rosh pit. Make sure that they don't get the Roshan. If they do, try and contest it. But for now, they just need to split push. They can't really face this at all. They need to avoid team fights at all costs.
The same time, Planet Dog is also not really committing here on this tower. They're spending a lot of time just roaming back and forth in the Radiant side jungle, trying to find someone and catch them off guard. And this will be always on a fly, so it's classic candidate for these kind of things. And that's the kill. Milan,
the
TP
Night
to the
Stalker's getting
shrine.
caught out.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, the Fiend Scope after the Nightmare. Swift Ending is there. A couple of right clicks here. The haste rune will be snagged by Kuman, but now caught inside the cogs here. Can't blink out for another couple of seconds. The Kuman will also die here. Oh no, absolute disaster coming through in this mid lane just in front of the Roche pit. And well, Planet Dog, even with with that good positioning, they decide to focus on the big objectives.
Always want to die. Oh, always want to fly is so low level. Sorry, that wasn't even intended. That was literally just. Anyway, he was so low level. He respawned by the time the Queen of Pain had died, and that was just like what, 10 to 20 seconds tops, like between his death and the Queen of Pain's.
Gotta come in here. Beautiful stun there from Daxek here in front of the ultimate. They get one. They get two. Actually, Nightmare saves Lycan for a little bit longer, but they get 2 kills. Kaiser able to walk out. Cheshire Cat still on the hunt with the Night Team. He gets the follow-up slow, so Kaiser has to try and turn and fight, but he's all alone, and he will be the 3rd victim here on Daxek's list. Triple kill for him out of freaking nowhere on the back of a bad positioning, right? That's all you can really say. 3 heroes right on top of each other. Maybe not expecting this Blink Dagger coming out from the Sven.
Yeah, I think those are just way too overconfident from Gambit Esports. They're grouped up, 3 of them right next to one another. 3-3 wasn't even part of the engagement in the first place, and I think one of the reasons why I think, and I think also Planet Dog thought that, they feel so comfortable is that, we have a Legion commander. If something happens, she just, press the attacks one of us and everything's fine. And if she had been there with a press the attack, she would have been able to, remove the stun on at least one of the heroes. If he had done it on the Clockwork, Sven wouldn't even have been able to hit anybody else because the cogs. But
Yep.
she wasn't there. That's a good triple kill for them, buys them a lot of time.
Well, he's there now. Goes in solo on Sven here. Almost brings him down inside the duel, but now Daxik can try and run away. Gets a stun on one, but Swift Ending is there with the help of J4. Now, okay, that Phoenix Group started stepped in a little bit. The hook shot actually blocked by Kaiser. Comedy of errors here, but it's still gonna get the kill, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So, 33 saying, hey, this is how it's done. Just kill the guy next time, and now they're gonna finally finish up this tier 2. Sigma 1 health points, and yeah, why not? Kaiser, he still has the ultimate available for a good amount of time, so that extra pushing power plus Swift Endings innates building damage. Gonna chew through these tier 3 like it's tier 3s like it's paper, and the racks as well.
Nothing they can do. They have to wait until the Sven's back. They just shouldn't fight before that. It's tempting to initiate on them if they're grouped up like that, with the Queen of Pain especially, but ultimately they would have probably lost the fight without the Sven, so it was good that they didn't engage, but it just hurts because you need to let the Rex fall. But I think now, yeah, they smoked up. I think this is a smart choice. Try and force the fight now. You know the Dragon form is down, you have everything up yourself. You know that they're sort of, because they're retreating, they're sort of out of position or gonna be out of position, so try and look for something. But
They're fast enough though.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're gonna get anything.
Scan landed right on top of them here, so we're barreling down mid lane. So Planet Dark, they're aware that something of this, like this, is going to happen. So they're kind of grouped up as 5 on the high ground. And now, gonna reveal themselves up top. Gambit will most likely take up this tier 2. The trade-off, well, what's the trade-off here? This shrine is up for the taking.
That's pretty great, actually.
So
Just the fact that they take a tier 2, it gives them a lot of space for the Dire Jungle, or to enter the Dire Jungle and have control over it. Up until now, they didn't really have control over their own jungle, and they sort of didn't have a lot of ways to, farm. They didn't have a lot of resources because Team Planet Dog was getting a lot of those. But this actually opens up the Dire Jungle a lot, and just gives them a lot of space. But like you said, the fact that, Planet Dog can take out the shrines also takes away a lot of map control from Gambit. I'm surprised actually that they haven't yet. They're literally in the raiding jungle right now. They could just take a quick detour, take the shrine, take away a crucial access point as well. If they take away both shrines, that's like crucial access points for Roshan as well.
Yeah. Well, they're picking it out. Kaiser will start hitting it now. The rest just guarding him, not revealing him themselves. But they're actually doing it much slower than they could have.
Oh, by the way, Swift Ending going for the Diffusal Blade. I love this item pickup against the Sven. Removes the Warcry armor.
Oh yeah. Great item to have. Also helps you run people down a bit more. Okay, that's a blink initiation here from Kaiser. With the help of the wolves here, they should be able to finish up Bignum. Just on the back of that, more right clicks will do the trick. He's trying to remind himself to the ancients actually, and he gets it. Bignum, making the best out of a bad situation.
I wonder what Planet Dog is going to do now. They could technically just go high ground again, but looks like they kind of want to wait for like a crucial pickup first, which they might find in the campaign here. Clockwork. Do they see them? No. I was lucky.
Time means, yeah, don't quite have the vision for it. They're also gonna have to respond to top because Daxik is there. He can pop the ultimate also, and the Warcry here to do a significant amount of damage to this tier 3 tower. And at this point, even if you're trading damage, that's not favorable for Planet Dog, for the team that's ahead. Right now, they're just spending a lot of time just trying to keep control of the map and farming up camps.
Yeah, they're moving
look
towards
for
Roshan.
finally, yeah.
J4 finally has that medallion.
And it's off.
Which I think, again, I think he could have picked it up earlier. It's not necessarily too bad that he picks it up only now, but I think if they had picked it up earlier, they could have technically done Roshan earlier. But with this...
Well, there's a fight though, Blink duel here, they find Bignum this time, there's no escaping for him. That hook shot a bit off the mark here, once again hits on Kaiser's fat ass. Starts running them down. You're always on fly with the stun. And a couple more right clicks inside the cogs. He'll still die inside on top of his own high ground. Well, that's an invitation for Soft Ending to choose some more racks. So mid range going down. Kaiser already starting to work here on the tier 3 in the bottom. And if they ever thought about Roshan with this kind of an invitation, they think better of it here. They're gonna look for a second set of racks. But Rubik's back already. Always on the fly. Another 10 seconds. There's a Sven available who can blink in with some good amount of damage, and looks like this time around they'll respect that.
Very unfortunate for Gambit to lose the Rubik and the Ogre like this. They had this Sven already TP'd back, and he couldn't even split push anymore. If he had been able to split push, he could have at least forced out a TP back or anything. But with this, they just take, what, range tracks and a tier 3 almost for free. Almost a tier 3, I guess. It's still halfway there.
Just gotta keep an eye on Roche flying across, but Planet Dark, very conservative here, very safe with that play. Especially after what they gave up in that one tier 2 mid push. Don't want to let this game slip out of their hands.
Yeah, the Sven is definitely a concern for them. I think he showed just how much damage the Sven can really do if he gets like an ideal initiation. But I think that Planet Dog is having maybe too much respect for this lineup right now. Oh, so winning.
Well, here on Sword, there's 3 of them here still alive for now. Here, Arno talking his way to victory. Another hookshot miss and being blocked by his own team. Milan not having a fun time in that sense here, but once again, they stay still standing after all. They're gonna get the duel win, looking for more Cheshire Can. Able to make its way outside the cards somehow here, but still being tracked down with a couple of heroes. Should die to another stun here. It's gonna come out from Kaiser, if not to the urn. There it is. Milan just takes it casually. They lose tier 1 bottom, and very angry about that. Mass CP's there instead of just trying to finish up Roche. This big guy is still standing. And Kuman with the haste rune will be able to walk it off as well, so Gambit, I don't know, they're kind of bleeding heavily, but they're still staying alive in this game somewhat.
Yeah, and this is even considering the fact that Planet Dog is not even making optimal decisions or playing at the best. I think you pointed out a lot of like these failed hook shots from Milan. There's been like a weird coordination where they don't even focus the same target, where they cog, like Milan has even cogged his teammates before. Just now, Lycan even TP'd bottom, even though half his team was starting to take Roshan. So Planet Dog's not playing perfectly by any means.
Cheshire Cat, he's flying in, he's looking to try and satiatus. He doesn't get those swift standing. Claims it as well as a kill on top of it. Now, always on fly. Darkside already popped his ultimate here. This could be a bit of an again, Milan. It's like the 4th or 5th hookshot. That's just blocked by either his teammates or his critters. Now the tool from the high ground. I don't know what's happening here, but
Darkside is still chasing the Sven. He wants him.
What do you really care? He stopped caring here. Sushi found to take. Now, it's all just a matter of, okay, Kuman revealing himself, able to make it out. But yeah, it's a DD rune. This is now not just a matter of barreling down a lane and finishing the game.
Pretty much. With the Aegis, they should just go down somewhere, probably like top or bottom. Just take another lane. I'm honestly surprised that they haven't, or that they even haven't taken this shrine. They could have had a much easier game if they had taken out the shrine, for example. Would have denied Gambit an easy access towards the Roshan pit, which they used in the last fight, by the way. So, I don't know, again, I don't think that Planet Dog is playing perfectly by any means. It's just that Gambit gives them so many openings, in my opinion, that they don't even need to play perfectly.
Yeah.
Always want to fly.
Look for more kills. Milan ready to take over. It's gonna be that Ogre Magi 100%. Now the question is whether they wanted to defend this bottom lane push, quote unquote. Or if they just want to, yeah, that's a sensible decision. Just try and muffle down these racks with the backdoor region being taken care of with the creeps in mid. And at this point, we don't really care about a 2-2 going down, even if Kuman manages to accomplish that in the first place.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're waiting for. I guess maybe for the DD to run out or the Dragon form. But that's gonna last a long time still. Like he had it bottled up and he used it right before he used his Dragon Form. He is ready to take this last. Like he's ready for Mega Creeps.
Really good positioning as well by the by Planet Dark this time around here. And what the hell? That was the Big Name's cards stolen, and now Swooping comes in, and he gets stunned up by Darkseid, but to no avail. Fiendskirt from the other side. Duel in the middle of that here. 33 almost died it though. And it is Gambit who will start losing more of their heroes now. And they call it GG. There's not enough power, not enough damage at this point. And Kuman still trying his best, but didn't even get that single kill for the Ancient Experts.
You know, this is pretty much the only real team fight that Gambit has taken in this entire game. Because before they couldn't really engage in a team fight. They couldn't really just jump in and do something because the only real initiation they have is the Sven Blank. But you don't want Sven, your carry, to initiate. You want him to follow up on another initiation. So I think this is where Gambit just have to reevaluate the draft and just reconsider, like, is this really the way we want to open a draft with a Queen of Pain Night Stalker? Or rather, is this really how we want to finish a draft with a Night Stalker on the offlane? If this had been any other offlaner, by the way, if it had been, say, like a Tidehunter, if it had been like a Magnus, if it had been even a Centaur, I know that they bent Darkseid themselves, but if it had been something along those lines, I think they would have had a much better chance. They still would have lacked deep push, right? They still would have been unable to like sort of deter Planet Dog from taking all the outer towers, but at least they would have had a high ground defense. With the Night Stalker on the offlane and the Ogre Magi as a support, what do they really have right now? They literally were reliant on the Sven to find a perfect opening, and Sven is not the initiator. He should never be.
Yeah, not much else to add there. I mean, they had a draft that's really relied on them being able to snowball off the laning stage to be the ones dictating the pace of the game from minute one, essentially. And that all got shot down by one small little clockwork by the name of Milan, right? I mean, as bad as its hooks were throughout the entire game, I don't think he landed more than one or two hook shots on the enemy team.
To be fair, some of the times it was actually his teammate's fault that he didn't land him. Sometimes it was questionable why he went for it in the first place. I definitely agree with you there, but you know, it's just a little bit of communication issue, I think.
Yeah, it's you put it well when you said that they didn't even need to play perfectly, and so Milan didn't have to either here after the heavy carrying, you could say, that he already did in the laning stage. Like getting first blood, never really stopping 8-1 and 16. So on that background, he's actually the endline MVP of the game for me.
100%. I think this clockwork, when Milan especially showed that, you know, there's a reason why this hero is banned out in high level pro games most of the time, or a lot of the times anyway, and why a lot of the sort of established players also are like feared on this hero. He's like such a nuisance. He's probably the most annoying hero to deal with in the early game right now. I mean, 380 movement speed. Come on, Night Frog. That's just ridiculous. He can pick up 2 items, has 380 movement speed. Who's gonna outrun that in like the first 2 minutes? Nobody is. So honestly, no offense to Milan, but I think if it had been like an even more skilled player, I know we've seen players like Yapzor take on the clockwork like that, they could have easily decided the game on their own. Though to be fair, I do think that Milan and his impact in the early game sort of did decide what direction this game was going to take.
A thorough analysis of why Clockwork is broken.
He's annoying at the very least. I'm reluctant to call him broken just yet, but he's very annoying.
He's a great enabler. He enables teams to gain a very, very strong advantage.
He enables teams also to tilt. I think playing against Clockwork is very tilting.
Fair enough.
If a guy with like so much damage early on and like what's his base armor? I think it's like 4 or something. Like 600, 700 HP.
2 or 3, I think.
Yeah. If he runs at you at 380 movement speed, I think you just want to call GG and leave again.
Feels bad, man. All right, so that's game number 1. We should be getting into game number 2 momentarily. We're going to take a short break, guys, but we'll be back with the Blood in the Streets Dota 2 Championship brought to you guys by FirstBlood.io and Antlion Audio. I'm the source. Joining me, Skim Gaming and Dragon Drop Dota. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Came to Boston, lives in a world she's lost in, victim of compromise. He's staring at her Aberdeen heart, London eyes, Glasgow bones. She's whistling the catacombs, a paradox. He's in love with the statue in a marble block. He's in love with the girl that time forgot. She just shakes her ears. She's falling too far with salt in her scars. Won't let it taste her tears. She's falling too far. The girl that time forgot. Wasted moments, full of potential that torments. An angel in disguise, but he can see her Aberdeen heart, London eyes, Glasgow bones. She's a whistle in the catacombs, a paradox. Oh, he's in love with the statue in a marble block. He's in love with the girl that time forgot. She just shuts her ears. She's falling too far with salt in her scars. Won't let it taste her tears. She's falling too far. The girl that time forgot. You let her go, catacombs. You let her go, let her go, catacombs. You let her go. She just shuts her ears. She's falling too far with salt in her scars. Won't let it taste her tears. She's falling too far.
Are you tired of your streams or voice chats sounding like this? Do you want the comfort and quality of high-end headphones without sacrificing microphone quality? Antline's ModMic 5 is the perfect solution. Their dual capsule microphone attaches easily and securely to your existing headphones and fits within any setup thanks to the modular cable system. It comes with a cable wrap to protect your wires, an optional inline mute switch, and sounds a little something like this. Check the link in the video description to learn more.
Dire team back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Blood in the Streets Dota 2 Championship, brought to you guys by FirstBlood.io and Antline Audio. You guys just saw a commercial for the ModMic 5. I've actually got one attached to my microphone or my headset right now. Went on easy. It's a great product. You guys should go check it out. I'm the Source. Joining me is Skim Gaming. Now that we have the selloutness out of the way, and Dragon Drop Dota, we are into Game 2 between Planet Dog and Gambit Esports. First game went to Planet Dog. Anything else you guys want to add for those who weren't there for the first game and are just joining us?
Well, it was pretty straightforward. Planet Dog had a pretty good early game, based on Milan's Clockwork doing a lot of work, and Gambit Esports didn't really have the draft to counter out the push that then eventually came out from Planet Dog. Even though they didn't play perfectly here, they could have probably ended the game like 5 to 10 minutes earlier. In a lot of ways, but Gambit, well, as I said, they didn't really have the draft to counter it out, so eventually Planet Dog was just able to take it to its logical conclusion in that sense.
I think Gambit also just wasn't really up to the task.
10 seconds
They
remaining.
felt like from the get-go, they just didn't really feel too
5
comfortable
seconds
going up
remaining.
against Planet Dog's lineup. They fell behind on all 3 lanes, and then
Reserve
just going
time.
forward, they didn't really have like a set plan. And I think it always felt as if they themselves never believed in their own draft. I think the way that Kuman has been playing was sort of, I'm just going to form up and hope for the best, really. And they never really tried to force. They had one smoking attempt, but that was pretty
Radiant
much it. And I
team
think the
pick.
fact that they only do that once, I think, goes to show how much or how little trust they really had in their own lineup to succeed. And I think going forward into
Dire
this
team
game,
pick.
they will need to pick something that will make them feel much more comfortable and doesn't put them at such a huge disadvantage and doesn't rely on such a good laning stage in the first place. And I'm glad to see them ban the Clockwork. I don't think that you want to play against
10
it again.
seconds
It's sort of
remaining.
what you always see in a best of 3. When you get crushed by something completely, you
5
sort of just ban
seconds
it because you
remaining.
don't really want to see it again. And I don't think that I'm not even sure what they banned
Reserve
in the
time.
last game before that. Actually, I do now. They banned the Sand King. I think it's fine to just leave it through and pick it up yourself. And I hope that I hope in this draft they're going to be better. And I think this opening is much better than
Radiant
the
team
opening they
back.
had before with the Night Stalker and the Queen of Pain. Sand King and Disruptor is a very solid pickup. Both are good supports. Sand King can be an offlaner. There's a lot of flexibility here. It doesn't really reveal anything. And they don't really commit to anything either. I think
Dire
with the Queen of
team
Pain and
back.
the Night Stalker, they sort of committed to in a bit of a direction. They had their core already, and with the Night Stalker they had a sort of direction, sort of what kind of support play that is, because there's only a few things Night Stalker can do, and that's just stabilizing lanes through roaming and ganking.
Radiant team back.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, Sand King, as you said, one of these heroes that's flexible enough for Disruptor. Generally a great support if you can make a team around it that
Dire
doesn't
team
fall
back.
behind early. Like you wouldn't like pick up three greedy farmers now for your core positions with Disruptor, because you want to be able to brawl, you want to be able to win team fights, you want to be able to make the enemy run away from you as early as possible, so you can make good use of
10
the glimpse.
seconds remaining.
But in this game, of course, especially against the puck picked up early here by Planet
5
Dog,
seconds
it's
remaining.
just one of these textbook counters, just dropping down the Static Storm, the glimpse as well, if you manage to keep vision.
Reserve time.
Yeah, pretty good opening, and now Planet Dog gonna have to try and play around that here, in one way or another.
I actually like the puck pick from Planet Dog. It was very cheeky because I alluded to it in
Radiant team
in the draft in the first game. Both teams really like the Queen of Pain, right? The first phase pick it, even both of them. And picking up the puck this early is like, hey, you know what? No, go take the Queen of Pain. Sure, I'll take it. We know we can destroy it with our puck. because Puck
10
generally does
seconds
do better
remaining.
than Queen of Pain these days because of the immense buffs Puck has gotten
5
over the
seconds
past years.
remaining.
So I think it's a great draw
Dire
from Planet. Like,
team
it's a
pick.
good opener from Planet Dog with the Rubik of the Puck. Again, also doesn't reveal anything. Puck could technically still be an offlaner. Tusk is a good pickup here. Can be really good defensive support against the Disruptor. If somebody does get caught out in a static storm, you just snowball through the
10
static storm
seconds
and pick somebody
remaining.
up. Or just generally speaking, has a lot of like roaming
5
and burst
seconds
potential
remaining.
against the Disruptor.
Yeah.
In terms of bans, I like that Gambit Esports consider the Draw
Reserve
Ranger. That is
time.
something that a lot of teams sort of neglect oftentimes when they see the Puck or when the Puck is in the draft, because Puck and Draw Ranger is just a fearsome combo. You can apply so much pressure in the lanes and in the mid game. You really don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, Puck has a good amount of magical nuke to begin with in lane here when he gets his levels, and normally you see Pucks go for the spell build with 2 Nautilus mans, so you have a decent amount of right click already, and add a draw range on top of that. Just the constant blinks from the Puck, they do start to add up with that extra buff up throughout all of the game really. So it's a potent combo. Especially if you have also heroes that can make sure that no one can jump the drow, especially that you have some of these saving mechanisms like the Tusk. So Gambit Esports taking that out of the picture now, thinking about their own drafts. Wouldn't hate to see some more team fight combos like Sanking Disruptor. I mean, the one hero that would spring to mind there would be the Darkseer for the offlane. It's a kind of a classic combo that we've seen time and time again, but instead they opt for some
Radiant
saving
team
mechanisms
pick.
of their own. The Dazzle with the Shallow Grave, as well as the Shadow Wave to sustain some pushes.
I would have
And
loved to see the Darkseer as well, to be honest. I think
Yeah.
the Darkseer would have fit the lineup much better. They would have had the ability to run like an aggressive dual lane with
10
the Sand King
seconds
Darkseer.
remaining.
Darkseer can always fall back, has reliable farm, provides a mech, which is very
5
important.
seconds
Can
remaining.
also get the Guardian Greaves, which is good against the Puck and the Silence.
Yeah.
And just overall, just
Reserve
applies more
time.
pressure on the laning stage. It's just a solid sort of component because he's always going to get farm, right? Darkseer is always going to get farm. You can't really shut him down too much. And like you said, there's a lot of like team fight combo. With Dazzle, it feels almost a step into the wrong direction where they expect to be like they expect Planet Dog to be aggressive, so they want to take a step back and be like, all right, we need something to counter this Tusk and Puck aggression. Let's have the Dazzle. But I think this is the wrong approach because I think Puck and Tusk are like really good against the Dazzle as well. They have like really good jump potential onto the Dazzle. Dazzle
Dire
as the
team
solo sort of defensive support is always going to die really towards the Puck and Tusk in most cases, just because of the silence and the instant stun sort of combo. Now against the Bat Rider as well, sure you can grave somebody gets lassoed, but if you get initiated upon, what's Gambit
10
really going to do?
seconds remaining.
I do think I mean I guess they have the glimpse, right, which is nice.
5
It's a sort of good
seconds
counter against both
remaining.
Puck and Bat Rider, but still I think that I would have preferred it if Gambit had gone a more aggressive
Reserve
route
time.
here and decided to take the fight to Planet Dog rather than, all right, let's just try and counter what they're throwing at us, because I don't think that's gonna work against like Puck, Bat Rider, Tusk, who aren't really ulti reliant. They're not necessarily cooldown reliant. Sure, they have big ultimates like the Dream Coil and the Lasso, but those are also like what 80, 90 seconds. That's basically nothing, and they can deal a lot of damage even without those ultimates. So
Yeah.
I would have preferred something more along the lines of
10
again like the
seconds
Darkseer, something
remaining.
that provides stability, especially in the mid game.
5
But now the one
seconds
way that
remaining.
Dazzle could work in like in an aggressive sense would be okay.
Radiant
Yeah,
team
yeah.
Didn't
back.
account for this
Yep.
one, of course, with a
Yep.
Dazzle Husk guys. But more of a cheesy way to go about it. But I was gonna bring up the minus armor from the weave and just like that kind of ability. But then again, it doesn't really make too much sense considering the Planet Dark hasn't really
10
shown any
seconds
big physical
remaining.
damage to begin with. So it's this Husker that puts the Dazzle in a
5
whole new light
seconds
now.
remaining.
It does. It definitely does, and it makes the Gambit Esports
Reserve
lineup
time.
much stronger now. This Huskar pick, but I still think that the Dazzle himself, Dazzle Huskar is like a really strong combo, right? Obviously, and
Dire
like you
team
said,
back.
Planet Dog doesn't have a lot of physical damage, but I still think that the Dazzle is food for any of these supports. And if he's out of, and I think this will definitely depend on Dazzle's positioning throughout the entire game. But if he's ever out of position, there's like so much killing potential on Planet Dog's side. But yeah, the
10
Huskar
seconds
changes
remaining.
things certainly. There's no defensive capability on Planet Dog outside of the Snowball, which
5
quite frankly
seconds
isn't like
remaining.
the best defensive ability. And again, they lack the physical aspect. But I think there are a
Dire
variety of
team
carries
pick.
that Swift Ending is comfortable with that could do well against the Huskar here. I personally, if it hadn't been for the Disruptor, I personally would have been a fan of the Slark. I think Slark versus Huskar is pretty nice. Against Dazzle as well, but I don't think you want to play
10
against the
seconds
Disruptor or the
remaining.
Sand King.
How about a Sven? Because that's also one of these heroes that
5
Swift Ending
seconds remaining.
has played before to decent success. So you have the big amount of physical burst trying to deal with the Huskar.
Radiant team
Troll
pick.
Huskar. Gambit is
God.
pulling out the cheese.
What
Yeah,
do you do
the
against that? Like,
Sven could work, but I
Yeah.
think that the fact that I think they can kite him too well with the Disruptor, with the Dazzle and Sand King.
10
There's a lot of
seconds
crowd
remaining.
control with either slow, stun, or the kinetic field.
5
I think you want
seconds
something more
remaining.
mobile that can pick off the supports and feed on the supports rather than something that is just sort of like focused on
Reserve
taking
time.
down the carries in a 1v1 scenario or like in a 2v2 scenario or whatever. So I would have preferred something along the lines of a Slark, something that can kill the supports, maybe even something like a Clinks. But I fear that anything they would pick up that would go into the direction is too squishy against Huskar and Troll together.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they do have to go something. They do have to go back for a more like tanky core like the Sven, but that's also not really the answer.
Yeah.
Sven is also not perfect here. Maybe Terrorblade. Is Terrorblade? Nah, I guess
It
Sand King
was
Disruptor
banned
is still
out.
pretty nice. All right, it's banned out. Yeah, it's banned out.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been good though.
That would have been decent
Maybe
enough.
Spectra
Yes.
actually. Spectra actually. That's a lot of ganking potential with the Pocket Batrider globally. Spectra, the pure damage from what's it called? I forgot her spell, but that's pretty strong against Huskar. She can be pretty tanky, so she doesn't necessarily die to like sanking ganks too easily. Huskar Troll don't deal well with illusions. Radiance
Yeah.
is pretty strong against Huskar Troll. Spectra could be good.
10 seconds remaining.
Seems like it's a little bit slow though.
It probably
5
would be too
seconds
slow.
one
You're right.
problem. Yeah.
It probably would be. They're going
Yeah,
for
they're
the
gonna
Sven.
go for the
Alright.
Sven, so yeah. Decent enough against double minus armor, so if you do get the weave on top of yourself, rather than defensive weaves coming out from the dazzle, so you have that to work with. Decent against the right clicks from Troll too, with that, and of course, as we mentioned, you do have that big amount of physical burst damage that you require to put Huskar over the edge. But of course, Dazzle, Shell Grave, no response to that really, so gonna have to try and find ways to either kill the Dazzle first, perhaps on the back of a Batrider initiation, or Park just kind of jumping through the backlines and zapping Dazzle down, or just trying to outlast the Huskar during these 5 seconds of Shell Grave. It can freely arm the toggle and build up a ridiculous amount of attack speed.
10
So
seconds remaining.
it's a tough thing for Planet Dog to do in the
5
best of
seconds
times.
remaining.
But I think they have the right tools to make it work as the game goes on.
This is going to be a good game, I think. I hope this is going to be a good game because the last game was very one-sided. We didn't really get to see Gambit Esports shine at all. I think they even gave. I think Always Wanna Fly even did an interview with the score the other day, and he highlighted, Dexek and Kuman, or whatever you want to pronounce them. They're very talented. They're not by any means like the next I think he said they're not the next Sumail or whatever, but they're still very talented, and I think that's very much true. Gambit definitely a very talented squad, and I hope we get to see more of them because they're not as bad as the last game made it out to be.
Well, they're gonna get another chance now. They win the tower battle, of course, like last time, but only slightly.
I don't know, but 200 points is still a lot. Or 200
Eh.
levels, I guess. Of course, 200 levels is nothing for a guy that fiends battle pass levels as if it was air. Mister, I have level 480.
The thing is, I'm not even close to the top of my friends list.
Yeah.
Biggest one is Kyle, sitting at 1,185 right now. Then Modo, I have no idea where he gets the money from. He's almost at 1,000 too. Then a bunch of others as well. They're sitting at like 930 in the 700s. Not even that bad. This thing.
Hey,
And
in
I dropped
comparison
100 euros on it. Shit.
In comparison to really bad people, I'm not that bad. Alright, these lanes, how are they going to work out? I suppose that it's just going to be standard lanes, really, with the Troll mid, Huskar safe, Sun King off lane, same on the other side with Puck mid.
Could this
Swift
be
Ending on Sven bottom.
could this be a Dazzle Huskar dual mid?
Could be, but I don't think you really want to do that. I think that's just I don't know. I think you want the levels on the Huskar first, and I don't think you really get the mid with the dual lane. Plus, the puck actually does sort of well in that lane. It's not bad. It's not like it could be worse. I think so. I'm not sure you want to really take that battle.
I don't know, I think you can like you can only dodge so many of these burning spears with the phase shift early on. So I think
Right?
you
No.
do have the ability to bully out puck quite decently.
No, you no. That's definitely true. But I still think that puck would get a lot of decent farm just because of his range and attack damage.
Yeah.
I think if you're Huskar, you probably would prefer. Actually, then again, you would be up against the Batrider off lane. That's a good question. But the fact that Show Warlord did pick up the Poor Man's Shield does leave me to believe that he
Yeah.
is going to head mid.
It's also played by Kuman, so that's a mid player, so that's a scenario that's way more likely. That's just gonna be a troll mid. Yeah. But it does mean not a lot of fun for 33 in this on his offlane Batrider.
Well, you say that, but early on, Batrider is actually pretty strong against Huskar.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he can be. Oh, Swift Ending gets scattered out, but they're too far away. No level 1 kill. Level 1 first blood. Not for now, anyway.
Not this time here again, but trying to do the same thing that Planet Dark did in the last game. Trying to catch on to Rubik, but J4 too close to his friends this time around. So yeah, it looks like stand lanes as I mentioned. So yeah, if Gambit lose this one, dropping down to a lower bracket. Planet Dark win, of course, they'll move on to the winner bracket finals.
Which secures them in top 3 position, by the way.
Yeah. Alright, so do we see any more shenanigans? 33?
The battle begins.
Going in a bit deep here. Thanks to Burning Spears for troubles.
Should also be noted, by the way, for those of you watching, that Gambit or that Planet Dog, because they did make a roster change, have not been invited to the European regional qualifier or the CS qualifier, like any regional qualifier, but they will be making their ways through the Open. So, if you're watching this team right now and you think to yourself, you know what, they're actually pretty cool, look out for them in the Open qualifier and subsequently in the regional qualifier if they make it. Like, this team definitely has a lot of potential to like cause an upset here or there.
Oh yeah. Would be too surprised if they made it, honestly. With a lot of these other teams that were contenders actually already being invited to the regionals in the first place. Gonna be a tough team to beat for sure. But yeah. Right now it's up to Gambit to try and do exactly that, and 33 is already doing Batrider things with the Firefly. Dragging this creep wave back. And, well, Victim hasn't actually skilled anything yet, so he can go for a glimpse of 33. Is TPing out in vision. Because it's normally what you do when you're making this particular play. But it's going all the way up to the high ground. Bignum cannot follow him there. So what this does is... Actually, teaming all the way back to base? Alright. I was so confused by that Mr. First Blood down bottom on the Sand Kings, so it was a 3-man rotation. But yeah, normally what you do is just, especially with the kind of health and mana that he had, TP up to the tier 1 tower, but I guess it works out anyway. Because what this does is, it'll eventually double up these... What the hell are these creeps doing? Did they walk all the way from that nook to here?
They did.
That is so weird.
Absolutely hilarious.
But in theory, it doubles up the creep wave, so it pushes into your towers to get the experience.
Yep.
Let's see if that works out like that.
Oh, he's gonna be surprised now if he finds the same creep wave again.
Yeah. That'd be hilarious. He did this to the same creep wave again.
Oh, bottom lane, always when the flag gets cut out. He did TP bottom to help his Sand King, though.
That comes out, Snowball from 3 here, they're gonna bring him down. Chesh again, unable to help out, and now he even gets lifted up. And he should survive this one. For extra control, but a lot of love taps on the back. He has to eat through his last tango.
It's not great for Gambit Esports yet again. Sure, their cores, like the troll and the Huskar aren't doing badly, but their offlane is getting wrecked, quite frankly. And they even rotated a support to help out, and that support died, which alleviates a lot of pressure for this offlane. Like 3-3, almost level 2 now. His pole shenanigans sort of worked. He's getting a lot of XP now.
Yeah.
He's not getting the last hits, but the experience at least.
Yeah, if you can stick around this general area here to profit from that side pull on the big camp. If you're not being punched for that, then yeah, that's some free experience. That's all you're really looking for on a Bat Rider. Okay, I lagged a bit there, but yeah, it's better experience all you need on a Bat Rider to then fall back into the jungle and get your money there for your Blink Dagger.
And because they are only two heroes up here, Gambit can't really harass the Bat Rider as much as they want to. They can't really force him out of the lane at all, and now he's level 3. He was able to even take the creep camp that had been pulled over. So this Bat Rider is having like a good time, whereas the Sand King, level 2.5, can't really walk back to the lane without getting like hit on, or not hit on, but rather beaten down.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not the type of hero that has a really easy time going back to the jungle, especially with not a single point up in the sandstorm just yet. I mean, sure, you can start a jungle with Cosmic Finale, but you're gonna take a lot of damage if you try and do that. Mid lane though, okay, I'm gonna go on Kuman here, nice ice shots from Milan, follow up there from J4 to the left, Kaiser. Well, they're actually having some troubles burning through these last couple of health points, and now Cheshire Cat with rotation gets a stun on Kaiser, he already used the orb, now they're gonna try and finish up that kill to get it! Before he dies himself, now Cheshire Cat looking for more, did get a right kill from J4 earlier, so no slow potential from the Cosmic Finale, so we did a 1-for-1 trade, and this situation, I want to say it favors Gambit, because that puts Cheshire Cat right back up where he needs to be, at least.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that, because the Puck died, he has to TP back to base, or back to lane rather. They did invest 2 supports to rotate, and it did give Cheshire Cat the kill experience and a bit of lane experience as well. So I think, all things considered, it could have been worse, but it still sucks that they lose a Troll Warlord.
Yeah. Well, let's see if he can recover. He's been doing fairly evenly with the puck in terms of the CS, so in that sense his mid lane is going alright, but now gets shot trapped again. Only 2 heroes this time, so no real follow-up. It all serves just to bully him a little bit more, but he does have a salve to fall back on.
Poor man's shield and Wraithband. He has a combined of 12 armor underneath the tier 1. That is almost impossible to kill, really.
Well, it's on a fly now. TP's behind the tower. Yeah, I'm not sure what he plans to do. It's one of the problems Dazzle has in this day and age, I feel like. It's one of these do-nothing supports. Right, sure, he can react somewhat to aggression from the other side, but in terms of actually making things happen yourself, you're very limited in terms of your options, because Poison Touch, mediocre slow early on, even later, so. And then Shadow Wave, well, unless you have some way of setting up a good amount of damage output, like a Shadow Demon, can also not really rely on that to set you up for kills.
It's just a bit awkward because they really want to make sure that this troll doesn't die, and they know that the Tusk has been missing from the bottom line for like ages. So they know that they're setting up something for Troll, so Always Butterfly kind of has to be here, even though he wants he's dead, isn't he?
Does he have to be here though? That leads to death.
Yeah, not necessarily here specifically, but he definitely had to be mid to make sure that the Troll can farm safely. But ideally, he obviously wants to be top, pulling and stacking, or being bottom and sort of like sharing XP with the Sand King. But instead, he gives away a kill, which isn't great, and yeah, he's rotating back to the bottom lane. It's still, this is really good from Planet Dog though. Like, their supports almost never show on the map. Gambit almost never has a vision over them, so they don't really know what are they up to. Are they ganking top? Are they ganking mid? Are they sitting behind the Sven? You don't really know, and that just creates a lot of uncertainty and like a big threat for the Gambit. If you look at the player perspective, actually, you almost never see the supports, and when you do see them, they're almost like pressuring some hero at least.
Yeah. Well, so far it's been working out. Sven's getting as much free farm as the Huskar is. So I think that's a big Gambit that they're taking, right? pun intended, and really bad, so I do apologize for it. But they're putting a lot of eggs in this Haskell basket, and when do you expect him to try and throw some of these out?
I think it'll take a while. You definitely want to wait for the armlet, and maybe once you do have the armlet, that's the thing though. Huskar, sure, he's a great hero, and he can he can carry a team for sure, but he also can't just like walk up to a lane and say, "Yo, what up? I'm Huskar. I'm just gonna kill you." Certainly not against the puck. He's very mobile. Maybe against the Sven, but if they have vision like they do, Planet Dog that is, they will always see that rotation coming. So they need some sort of initiation first because before they can really do that, or smoking. But I think you definitely want to wait until like level 8, 9, maybe even 10, once you do have like max, max Berserker's Blood even, before you really want to go and gank. So I think for now, Gambit is sort of happy with how the lanes are, or at least content. I don't think they necessarily are happy, but I think they want to take it slow, especially after the last game where they fell behind. I think they will be happy with just not being behind right now, which they are. Troll and Huskar are doing fairly well for themselves.
Yeah. There's a 2k net worth lead here in favor of Planet Dogs, similar for experience here, but not nearly as much, 400 only, so it's barely worth mentioning. So in that sense, yeah, Gambit is on a good path, especially because they're also getting uninterrupted levels here from Bignum, so he was the one continuing to stack and pull and whatnot. So he's up to level 5. Once at level 6 hits, that's also one of these huge markers for them to have that extra ability to take team fights, especially against these mobile heroes like a Puck, to set up a fighting area where Haskar can really thrive.
Okay, I have to correct myself. Oh wait,
Go again, Kuman.
No, no, he's gonna be fine. So I said that they're not behind by too much, but when you said 2K, I checked the graph, and they're actually behind by 2K net worth. Yeah. That is a lot, considering no. Bad Rider's dead. Considering no tower was killed, and there was only like a 3-kill difference, I guess. 2K is quite a lot.
Yeah, most of that is down to the support store, I think, because always want to fly. He's completely starved right now. I think he has boots flying out now, and that's about it.
But also the cores. Look at Sven. He's ahead 700 or 600 in terms of net worth. I assume he must have been going back and forth between lane and jungle, because otherwise you can't really explain this net worth difference. But because if you look at the CS isn't, I guess, like 20 CS, which is like,
that is the difference of some couple of jungle camps. He also got one of these kills. So yeah, it's a Sven though, right? It's something that you would expect. He does have this farming utility compared to the Huskar, who's generally wants to farm heroes more than anything else, which he hasn't been doing just yet.
But still, a 2K net worth advantage just through, or mostly through farming, is definitely impressive. Like you said, it definitely comes down to the supports and the fact that Sand King hasn't really been farming. Bad Rider though has been farming now, even though he died for it just now, but he has been farming the jungle the entire time. So that actually makes a huge difference, because the Bad Rider is going to have his blink in probably like 3, 4, 5 minutes, whereas the Sand King is nowhere close to it.
No.
I guess if he doesn't die, maybe he also has it in like 5, 7 minutes. But still, that's like a significant difference. 2 to 3 minute difference is quite huge on cores like that, especially since Bad Rider with his blink is much more threatening than Sand King, in my opinion.
Yeah. Just the ability to just place your enemy rather than just go in and commit yourself.
Alright,
just that
TP bottom now.
Yeah. But looks like Planet Dog are ready for it. They're making the same rotation here, but Epicenter being channeled up. Swift Ending gets stun off on one try to TP. Yeah, that's gonna happen. So, gonna get that kill, that rotation from the rest of Planet Dog just a little bit too late.
Very unfortunate for Swift Ending, or almost really well played. If he had hit the stun on the Huskar, he might have actually gotten his TP out. But I think he was trying to connect the stun on Sand King and hoping that he would connect with Huskar. Is that Troll Warlord?
Middle lane. Select Storm committed here, trying to zone him away from it, and so he actually survives. Kaiser. They still have a glimpse available here if they want to bring him back. There's another orb at the same time though. And no more vision by the looks of it.
Kaiser just casually pops a regen rune. Yeah, nothing happened, guys. Let's just reset. Yeah. We didn't invest anything into this kill. No, nothing happened.
Well, Kuman will have to expend the shrine for the same privilege.
Bit unfortunate, but very good for Gambit. this is Gambit sort of like overly cautiousness paying off. They've always had a support behind the crewman for a while now. At first it was Dazzle, now it's the Disruptor. So, or I mean, at least have a TP ready on everybody, making sure that if something happens, they do have a sort of response to that.
Yeah. They don't have a response to these ancient farms though. It's only small stack there from Swift Ending, but something that's that you have to keep an eye on, and something that you have to at the very least track and make sure that you know where the Sven is at right now. Still, there's another camp on the other ancients, so he's getting dangerously close to his next item, which looks to be the halberd. So it's one of these ways that you can deal with the Huskar as well as the Troll Warlord quite effectively, I might add.
Gambit took a very early safe lane tower from Planet Dog. This is going to help their team so much, especially the Sand King. Like, he's had a lot of space for the past, 2 minutes? Like, ever since they've gotten the kill in this run, basically, he's had this lane for himself. With the tower kill as well, like, he's pretty close to his blink there, actually. He's still going to be behind the Blood Rider, but still, he's going to have his blink fairly soon. And I like this movement from Gambit. They smoke up. Unfortunately, it's spotted out by a ward. But this is a good movement from them. They know that Darius Huskar is at a huge advantage right now with 3 points in Berserker's Blood. There's no way they could kill him.
Yeah. Might have found Kaiser mid here, but he was feeling very confident here because he had that Invis rune to work with. So all they'll be ganking is his tier 1 tower by the looks of it. And somewhere they will trade. Top tier 1 now in the sights of Planet Dog.
Swift Ending might actually run into them.
Dire's
Nope.
top tower
Oh,
is
he's
under
lucky.
attack.
Making the full
Rubik,
rotation.
though.
Smoke will has expired. Rubik's sitting on the high ground. He sees them coming. And
Radiant's
makes the
middle
call.
tower
Does he
is
have a
under
TP to
attack.
get out? No, he does not. So he has to just juke and drive and he'll be successful. The ward will get taken out though, so the very least Gambit has that. But overall, actually wasting quite a lot of time here, but they're not farming, not really accomplishing anything in terms of objectives.
I'm surprised that they didn't have a ward with them. Usually, when you do smoking with this, you want to drop a deep ward that gives you kill potential, like or gives. Well, I guess they did drop a sort of deep ward for the ancient stack, but I think something deeper for the mid lane could have been better to set up for future kills. I guess this is sort of nice to keep tabs on the Sven and maybe kill him when he does go for the ancient stack. But
Radiant
I
structures
think
are
that
fortified.
Planet Dog, at least the way they've been playing,
Radiant's
they're
middle tower
sort of
is under
very
attack.
cautious about these kind of things anyway. So I'm not sure they would ever find the Sven in this position.
Well, finally settled for the tier 1 tower on the side of Gambit. Milan J4 kind of hanging around, but not a whole lot that they can do against it. Now once again we see that same movement towards the top lane. They're desperately trying to find some sort of kill, some sort of prize here from these constant battles, and now they will find 33. The Berserk just shorty with the blink out. 33 well, gets glimpsed back right on top of the Huskar. Will easily snack him up, so they get the kill that they were looking for at the end of the day.
And now it is Planet Dog that has to be really careful and just need to sort of mind their steps. The Disruptor can punish any sort of like mispositioning, and Gambit just have a really good lineup that peaks pretty early. They can take these objectives fairly easily. They took, what, 2 tier 1 towers now? They're going to take Roshan with ease pretty much. They don't even need the medallion for this.
Get with that blink, that game's gonna be challenged here. Plus the stack, so he actually walks out of it though. Kaiser somehow able to stay alive for now, but beautifully timed glimpse. Bignum gets him back despite the orbs. Kaiser will still drop to that. J4 now with the epicenter and channels it up himself because he has the ability to actually get it on target. Not actually the best spell to steal in that chest. Can blink in for J4. Meanwhile, the rest of Planet Dark dies somewhere else entirely. In the middle lane.
Yeah, they got caught out mid. They didn't expect the Roshan to be taken, and then they got like jumped on from the side. It's not a good minute for Planet Dark over here. I will say that with the puck, at least he died after he did have his blink, so he didn't lose too much gold. And he's going back for the Midas, which I think makes a lot of sense because right now Planet Dark sort of have to take this late. They can't really force anything in this mid game right now because Sure, they have the heroes right now, but I think the way that
J4
Gambit has
might
been
be dead.
moving,
Radiant's top tower is
Oh,
under
actually, nice
attack.
sides up there on the burst strike, but
Radiant's top tower
he should still be dead.
the way that Gambit has been moving, it's always with like 2 or 3 heroes at the same time. It's gonna be really difficult for this bad Reddit to find an opening. Like even now,
Oh,
there's
he's
a Dazzle
trying
behind this troll.
Yeah. Now with the weave on top, Kuma just turns around to
Oh,
fight
Hot
here. Daxik
Kaiser.
also comes through. Kaiser, he's burning here, not burning hard enough though, so he will survive too. But the skin of his teeth. Same
Dire's
for
middle
33,
tower
so
is under attack.
not sure why he blinked in there without lasso.
I really like this from Gambit. Like the disruptors has constantly been moving around with the Sand King together. The Dazzle basically never runs around without either the troll or the.
Oh, he
Oh
gets
my
a
God, what a
glimpse of the
glimpse.
Static Storm! Sven in a lot of trouble right now. He is tanky, but Huskar, can he get in range? Not quite. Cannot find the jump. That could have been
Huskar also has
disastrous.
the
for
Heaven's
Huskar.
Halberd.
Yeah.
So even if Planet Dog find an opening, there is that Heaven's Halberd that can negate Sen's
Radiant's middle
impact in a
tower
team fight.
is under attack.
So really, for Planet Dog, the best they can do right now is look and try to split push, farm up on the heroes, pick up some crucial items in them,
Dire's bottom
like the
tower
BKB
is
on
under
the
attack.
Sven, or Halberd himself, which he's looking forward to the next. So just avoid these fights. Like
Dire's
Huskar is
top
incredibly
tower
strong right
is
now.
under
The Troll
attack.
is really strong right now, and the Sand King. Well, him and the Disruptor can certainly solo kill almost anybody at this point.
Yep.
Or not solo kill, but dual kill, I guess.
As long as there's an epicenter available, you do have the damage at this point of the game to tear the people down.
Dire's top
Kuman gets a
tower has been
denial since the
denied.
first tower falling on the side of Gambit. Not even giving up the whole gold amount for it. Planet Dog, I mean, apart from dodging fights, you can even find the farm now to keep them going into the later parts of the game. With all this
That's-
pressure being mounted by Gambit.
There's a lot of pressure, and then Swift ending. Is he actually dead? I did say that they would never call it
Yeah.
catch him out like this, but
That's
they
the
are-
big channel. Kuman there to follow. Need a bash or something, or just a right click stand. They get the bash anyway. Kazu comes in with the counter initiation. Another bash though. Secures it now. The Static Storm victim. Makes sure that secondary core coming in to try and help out as Sven does die himself. Now not even done yet. Should be
Radiant's
cat.
bottom tower
Setting up
is
with a
under
burst strike. Glimpse back on J4 and that means Kuman gets a double kill. Seems like an entirely different team than last game.
for sure. They have so much
Radiant's
more
bottom
confidence going
tower
into
is
this,
under
or
attack.
into these fights and engagements.
Dire's
And
top tower is
Planet
under
Dog, on the
attack.
other hand, they just
Radiant's
don't really
bottom
have
tower
any
has
safety
fallen.
whatsoever. Look at the map. They don't like the wards that they have. They don't really tell them anything. They tell them sort of good movements, but it doesn't really help you farming safely. Like the Sven before when I called out that they would never kill him out of position. When I said that, they had really good words to cover him. Like they covered pretty much the most crucial points. Like they had the vision over the shrine, they had vision over the river. But now they just don't have that vision anymore.
Radiant's
They don't have
bottom
the
tower
control on
is
the
under
map. And
attack.
that's why the heroes have to go for those kind of like farming risks, basically. Something that Eternal Envy does a lot. And they're just gonna lose even more map control now with this tier 3 and probably with the
Radiant's
shrines
bottom
next as
tower
well.
has fallen.
Or with the racks.
I mean, how do you deal with Huskar right now? Glimpse back into Swift ending. Daxik is completely free to do whatever he wants here, as long as it doesn't behind him, as long as he has Aegis. And Kaiser wants to try and take their way. Coil onto Lasso. They want to try and finish off this battle as much as they can, and they do, but at what cost? 33 will die. Tusk already died. Daxik now in 1-1 against Swift ending, and that he will survive without even dropping the Aegis. Meanwhile, J4 and Kaiser just trying to scramble and survive in the back, but well, Bignum is snagging up an extra kill for himself. We'll say no to that too. So it's a 4-for-2 trade. They're not even saving their base with it. Daxik, he can just continue to wreck these buildings.
This might just be GG. They're gonna lose another set of racks mid, or at least the tier 3.
Radiant's middle tower.
Sen
He
is
just
not
ran
gonna be up for
response
another
now.
20 seconds.
Yeah, even then, he doesn't have full ultimate.
Radiant's middle tower.
Huck is
has
also not
fallen.
in a position to really fight. He can't even TP back because he does. Oh, now he has the mana. And this Huskar, he could just man up against what 3 heroes at the same time, and he just doesn't really care. I think Kaiser found the perfect initiation onto the backline, making sure to silence like what 3 heroes at the same time. Made sure they couldn't help the Huskar, but his team can't kill the Huskar. That's just the thing. Like the Sven, he has the halberd now, but that's just not enough at this point against the Huskar. They need more, and they just don't have it. They only have him as a single physical damage dealer, and this is what Gambit has been exploiting in their draft. They saw, hey, what, you pick Puck, you pick Bad Rider, or you pick Puck with Tusk.
Well,
That's not a lot of physical damage.
can't kill the Husker, gotta kill the other guys. Kuman gets caught up at 33 up top, pretty much a solo kill. But yeah, I mean, eventually it's not gonna be enough to make sure Husker doesn't kill you immediately. You're also gonna have to find ways to kill him, and for that you need like some big damage on the Sven, something like a Daedalus even.
The thing is, what you could do, if you know, what you could hope for, is to find a really good initiation on the rest of Huskar's team, like what the Puck did. If say the Puck had initiated there and the Sven follows up on that, and they kill all the supporting staff from Gambit, that's like a really good fight. And you know, you kite the Huskar around, maybe like get a Force Staff on the Rubik instead of a Blink, maybe get a Force Staff on the Tusk, something along those lines. If you just kite them around, that could be a solution to deal with the Huskar. But you can't even kill the rest of the team because they're also pretty tanky.
Yeah. Oh, the glimpse!
Force Staff into glimpse as well. Oh, it's nasty.
That's a feels bad man right there.
44 seconds without the Bad Rider, who, by the way, was going for an Aghanim, which you don't really see that often on a Bad Rider, especially as a second item. But I think it makes sense, because in this game you definitely want to lasso as many people as you can.
But will you be able to? I mean,
Oh no,
these
probably
are
not.
kind of range, except for all the tanking, so it's really no big reason for Gambit to group up in that same kind of range that you need for the double asset to be effective.
This is gonna be so difficult for Planet Dog.
Yeah.
Like, Kaiser's doing what he can to split push. He did pick up the Midas as well, which
Radiant's
ultimately is the right item choice, but sort of in the back of your head you also keep thinking, you know, what would have been if I had a Fuel Scepter maybe here. I do think that in the long run, if they want to win, he kind of needs the Midas.
Yeah.
But in the short term, it definitely hurts them. The fact that he doesn't have any survivability outside of his Blink Dagger.
Yeah. I mean, the Static Storm right now it still wrecks him time and time again if he gets caught by it. And this is the way this draft has been going, right? You pick up Dazzle in the first 1-2, immediately counterpicked by the Disruptor. And yeah, Bignum has been executing on that, on what he was drafted for, essentially.
See, I think Planet Dog's draft could have worked out though still, or I mean, I guess technically it can still, but I think their landing stage was a bit too sort of passive, I guess. They did well in pretty much most of it, or all of the lanes, and they were ahead, right? But I think afterwards they felt too content with the fact that they were ahead. They gave Huskar an easy kill in the Sven, which they shouldn't have, because they did have vision over the tier 1 tower. I know that the Huskar were smoked, and you can only really see them TP if you have vision over him TPing, and you know. But ultimately, I still think they were just too content with how the lanes were going. They were too focused on trying to get the troll instead of like securing things on their Sven.
Oh, Cherkat will find the Tass, so Milan gets a snowball off to try and delay this for another couple of seconds, but he will most likely die. Most definitely die, there it is. It's only a matter of who actually gets lasted at this point. And they do lose the bottom tier 1, yay, swift ending. He's doing some of that split pusherino.
That's the level 13 Tusk. I didn't even realize he was dead for 45 seconds. In level 13 Tusk. That's actually
Radiant's
pretty
top
nice.
tower is under attack.
Well, Gambit doing the smart thing, pushing in the side lanes, of course only one shrine immediately available, so that's the Ghost Oda works out in that regard. But once again, initiation and back to take down Dazzle first. Static Storm will actually miss for now here, and let's see if we can find a glimpse back here, but in front lines, J4 Milan controlled up by Chashikat. J4 stolen Sandstorm, keeping him alive as they have no detection. Now, another stun to Huskar, swift ending. He does have the ultimate going, but doesn't really feel comfortable going in to deep 33, and well, left his own device up at the back, so he will die. But I think that's the first one that died inside Planet Dog in this particular engagement. Oh, never mind, Milan, he did buy it back to continue,
Well, yeah,
but
he got picked off earlier.
and they're gonna have to do something more here. These cores are still work.
Radiant structures are fortified.
There's a blink on swift ending now. Could jump in. I think he's gonna.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen.
I'd have to without an ultimate though. It's very, very hard to bring through. Does get the stun on one checker though. He's ready to respond. So that's the epicenter even throw out. Gates finds a good initiation. There it is. Okay, he's just gonna get started off and burst it down. Maybe not. Septic giving a life momentarily here. A bit of control to Kuman. But Huskar, well, he is disarmed for the time being. But with the bashes, Kuman can just set up for the rest. Shellgrave saves him.
Rock
Now
sentries.
J4, well,
Radiant's turret has been killed.
bring him down. Aegis is triggered. Finally there onto Kuman. And yeah, with them dying one by one, this should be a GG call fairly
Oh, the
soon.
double
You see a double
lasso.
lasso though, so he dies again. And from nice static storm. And
Good game
secure
call.
the fight for Gambit.
You know, the double lasso almost ended up winning them the fight. Not this one, but the other one that they had in the backline, where he could double lasso the Disruptor and the Dazzle. But unfortunately for him, Disruptor had or has a Glimmer Cape that makes him almost unkillable, really.
Yeah.
If they had been able to take down both supports immediately, I think it would have been a different story, at least for that one fight. But ultimately, Gambit were just ahead by too much at that point. The Huskar out of control. I think this is one of those games where you can just say, all right, it was probably just an outdraft.
Get Huskar, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, get Huskar.
It's
I don't want
happens.
to take anything away from Gambit in terms of like individual play. I think they definitely played
Yeah.
really well. I think Bignum played really, really well. Probably my personal MVP of this series, my personal and line MVP of this series. But overall, I do think this just comes down to the draft. I think Planet Dog at no point had any response to Huskar. They could have had one if they had been even more dominant after the laning stage and transitioning into the mid game, but they just failed to bank on their advantage. They had, yeah, I pointed it out. They had like a 2K advantage. If they had been able to increase that advantage, they would have had a chance. But if you're equal against the Huskar, you probably lose in most cases, especially with a draft like this.
Yeah. Not much else out there. You said it, Bignum, probably the MVP here. Of course, the cores have more kills between themselves, obviously, but did what they needed to do, and Bignum was one of these reasons they could, because he set up so many of these extra kills with the glimpses. And the static storm was also on point every single time. Even that one that didn't actually catch any heroes, but zoned them away from Kuman, who was gone on a mid, enabling him to barely survive. So, yeah.
I think the Disruptor was also a huge part in why the Puck was never able to dominate the mid game. Puck is usually one of these heroes that can really dominate and like control the tempo, the pace of the game by feeding on the supports, especially by split pushing, by just being a general nuisance. But they caught him out so many times with a static storm, with a glimpse. That was just, it was almost impossible for Kaiser to be as effective as he wants to be. I think Kaiser still played well, and I think he was the one that kept them in the game for the most part anyway. But Bignum with the Disruptor, both with the pick but also with the play, was a huge part. But again, nothing to take away from the rest of Gambit Esports. I think they all played really well. Chishak had also a very patient Sand King. I think the laning stage went really bad for him, but he was patient, kept doing the things that he needed to do, and grinded himself back into the game.
All right, so a good game 2 coming out from Gambit, taking this to a game 3. What looked like a slightly trolly draft with Huskar and Trollord came out pretty well for them in the end.
Yeah, it was definitely trolly, literally and figuratively.
All right, guys. Well, we will be going into a short break as we get ready for Game 3 between Planet Dog and Gambit Esports. We are in the semi-finals of the Blood in the Streets Dota 2 Championship. I'm the Source. Joining me is Skim Gaming and Dragon Drop Dota. This is brought to you guys by FirstBlood.io and Antline Audio. We'll be back in just a few minutes with our Game 3. Don't go anywhere.
won't be long, making ladders out of cowboy sheets. We will be gone, while we're counting stars, they're counting sheep. Peter, hold your breath, don't make a sound. Just keep running and keep running and keep running. In our heads we're 10 feet off the ground. Just keep running and keep running, keep running, keep running, keep between us sleeping awake, where you can still remember dreams. I swear I'll always love you. You know that place between us sleeping awake, where you can still remember dreams. I swear I'll always love you, and that's where I'll be waiting. That's where I'll be feeling alone. Never thought I'd see this place again. I'm growing old in a different world. You stay the same. I just hold my breath, don't make a sound. I'm running, I keep running, I keep running. 'Cause I can see you quite as clearly now. I'm running, I keep running. You know that place between us, sleeping awake, where you can still remember dreams. I swear I'll always love you. You know that place between us, sleeping awake, where you can still remember dreams. I swear I'll always love you, and that's where I'll be waiting. That's where I'll be waiting. That's where I'll be
Are you tired of your streams or voice chats sounding like this? Do you want the comfort and quality of high-end headphones without sacrificing microphone quality? Antline's Mod Mic 5 is the perfect solution. Their dual capsule microphone attaches easily and securely to your existing headphones and fits within any setup thanks to the modular cable system. It comes with a cable wrap to protect your wires, an optional inline mute switch, and sounds a little something like this. Check the link in the video description to learn more.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Blood in the Streets Dota 2 Championship, brought to you guys by firstblood.io and Antline Audio. You guys just saw the commercial again for the Mod Mic 5. Make sure you guys check it out. That's what I've got right here. We are into game number 3 between Planet Dog and Gambit Esports. It's gone 1-1, obviously, and first game dominated by Planet Dog, not giving Gambit much of a chance, and Gambit immediately turned things around with an aggressive trolley comp with Trollord and Husker. And yeah, what do you guys think of the series so far?
Radiant team back.
Well, it's pretty fun Dota, as you would expect, right? Gambit fighting back here for the first time, because the last time these two matched up was just a few days ago, and Gambit
Radiant team
did
back.
lose 2-0, but it's already a different series right now with the way that they took that last game. Definitely a bit trolly. I don't think Planet Dark will get caught off guard by the same kind of thing
Radiant
again.
team pick.
So, yeah, really curious to see how this game 3 now works out.
Dire
And,
team
well,
pick.
for the first time this series, I believe, we see a Train Protector making an appearance, and that already changes the dynamic of the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm very happy to have seen Gambit, take that game 2 because again, I do think that they are a much
10
better team than
seconds
what they showed in
remaining.
game 1, and I'm glad that they proved me right. But this is game 3
5
now,
seconds
and both
remaining.
teams, have seen sort of what they're all capable of, and Gambit chose to ban the
Reserve
Sand King
time.
over the Train Protector, which is sort of a bold move. We have seen a lot of emphasis on the Sand King at the recent summit. Now, I think he was actually the most contested hero at the event, or at least one of the most contested heroes, and that just goes to show that the Sand King is a big threat in the current meta right now. But to prioritize it over the Train Protector, I'm not too sure because, like you said, it does change the dynamic of the game a lot. Treant Protector prevents sort of like chip damage towards the tower, or at least negates it, and he does just stabilize the
Dire
lanes a lot,
team
both
pick.
with his physical presence, but also with living armor. So I do think that there's something that Gambit need to do against that, and they choose the Jakiro, which is arguably one of the, I wouldn't say the best counters towards living armor, but it's kind of nice.
10
That's pretty good.
seconds
Like,
remaining.
once you're level 6, or whenever you want to pick up the Macropie, you'll have three sources of damage over time to
Radiant
at
team
least
pick.
bring down the living armor on heroes, so that's not going to be effective, which is a big part of the hero, right? If you don't have any sort of damage over time, it's almost like like you're up against a TA in every lane. We have to chew through this big living
10
armor,
seconds
go
remaining.
through these stacks before it can actually do damage. Because early on, you're not gonna
5
be able to
seconds
overkill as
remaining.
much to a point where you can actually punch through these individual stacks and still do a decent amounts
Reserve
beyond that.
time.
So it's something that you have to deal with. Jakiro pretty good at that. So the flip side is, of course, you can't really make use of that liquid fire
Dire
against
team
towers
ban.
because of what you mentioned in terms of the chip damage department. So what I would really like to see is, especially for these kind of games, to see Jakiros focus more on the dual breath as well as the ice path, and just straight up brawl, right? Just throw out these spells in team
10
fights because they're
seconds
all fairly
remaining.
low cooldown, and both of them are fairly impactful as
5
well.
seconds remaining.
I think you suggested that the last time as well, and I do think that
Radiant
that's a
team
viable
ban.
option, but I just because of the Rubik, I just don't see it happening here. Give him a high valuable ice path this early on, I think is very threatening,
Yeah.
and I definitely think you do want the liquid fire maxed out as early as possible against the Treant Protector. I know that
10
the
seconds
brawling thing is a
remaining.
good way to sort of like um catch them off guard a little
5
bit. It's not
seconds
necessarily something you
remaining.
expect, but I think still the liquid fire build is most likely what we'll see from Gambit.
Reserve time.
They take out the Nature's Prophet. Oh, by the way, interesting. Planet Dog pick both their supports in the first phase. This does give Gambit Esports the freedom to ban
Dire
just
team
cores
ban.
all they want and focus on that and prepare for that and prepare the lanes as well for these supports because all right, what's the worst they can really run right now, right? I guess the worst dual lane they can run is something with the Tree and Protector, but that's pretty much it. Rubik is not necessarily a good
10
dual laner,
seconds remaining.
and if they have something sort of like greedy in the offlane, they can go for it. They
5
can go back for the
seconds
Legion
remaining.
Commander. they can go for something. I guess the Sand King is banned, but something along the lines that can be a bit more greedy in the off lane, just because that Rubik is the most threatening thing really. I guess Treant Protector is always going to be there, but Treant is most of the time not going to stay in a lane. He's going to be roaming between lanes, trying to create space or get a lot of information.
Remaining.
Yep. Yeah, so the options in that
5
sense.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, Gambit take out some of the more annoying heroes to deal with that. They just
Reserve
profit,
time.
give a lot of push, a lot of global potential as well. And the Darkseer also one of these more annoying combos to deal with, together with the Treant Protector. Like just vacuum into
Dire
overgrowth
team
early on
pick.
with the Iron Child on the invis targets. It's always something that's unfun to deal with at the very least. So taking that out with Planet Dark, just focus more on these good old tanky heroes like the Bristleback, just taking them out
10
of the picture in
seconds
case
remaining.
Gambit we're looking for it. But now, where do we go from here, right?
5
You already have the
seconds
park, you already
remaining.
have the Jakiro. So in that sense, it's a good amount of magical burst,
Reserve time.
and just control factors coming out from that, from the silences, the coral, the ice path eventually, and just as slow as in Jakiro. So to just keep going down this road and pick up more team fight.
Draw Ranger. I am surprised Planet Dog didn't ban the Draw Ranger. Jakiro and Puck is such a good setup for a draw draft. I will say that if they pick it down, it's going to be easily counterable. They can save it for the fourth position. I doubt that Planet Dog will ever pick it up themselves, but I do think that this is like the prime moment for a draw lineup. And the both supports, Tree and Rubik, aren't good against Draw Ranger by any means. They're actually pretty awful. They
Yeah.
can't really close the gap that easily. I guess Treant Protector with his invis is nice in the first, say, 10 to 15 minutes before the sentries are up or before any sort of like counter measurements are being made. But overall, I do think that Draw Ranger is fantastic against these heroes. She enables the other lanes to be that much stronger as well. Jakiro hits like a truck with the Draw Aura. Puck, especially as well, can be a complete lane dominator with Draw Aura. I am, again, especially because Gambit banned it the last game themselves. When Planet Dog did have the puck, Gambit themselves banned the Draw Ranger, and I'm surprised that Planet Dog didn't, look at this draft and be like, you know what? Gambit last time around, when we had the puck, banned the Draw Ranger. Maybe they're thinking of a draw lineup.
Wind Ranger at your
And
service.
with this Wind Ranger, I would be
Radiant
heavily
team.
surprised if they didn't go the draw route. Like this is just asking for a Draw Ranger lineup, and I
Yeah.
think this telegraphed it pretty much for Planet Dog. And if you're Planet Dog, you're asking yourself, could we ever pick the draw ourselves, or is there anything like could we sort of set up to counter the
10
draw
seconds
ourselves?
remaining.
What hero do we pick now to really make sure that if they do go for the Draw
5
Ranger,
seconds
we
remaining.
can counter it? And they definitely need some sort of like initiator.
Yeah, you need someone that can close the
Reserve
gap.
time.
Like Clockwork would have been nice, of course, if it doesn't move out. One of these kind of heroes that will build blink daggers. Axe would come to mind of the offline. So, but it's also a thing with just picking up supports already, right? You don't have the option to pick up a mediocre hero against the other heroes just to make sure to have a counter against a drow, if that makes sense. So definitely gonna want to take some time to think about what exactly they want to pick.
Right, that is definitely, yeah, I definitely agree with you. There's like a big issue that they have their two supports already locked. If they had something like say if the Rubik was, say if the Treant Protector wasn't the Treant Protector but the Sand King, and this is where I have to applaud Gambit. If that had been the Sand King, Planet Dog would have all the flexibilities in the world to say, all right, we will put the Sand King as a support and instead go for an offlaner that can be more proactive, or that can survive against the Draw Ranger, or that can be a nuisance that that we can kill stuff with. Or we can have him as have the Sand King as a core, and then instead pick a support that can be more proactive, can create a lot of space, can get us an advantage early on. But Planet Dog is very much set in the support department, unless they throw like a huge curveball with the Rubik,
Dire
which I
team
heavily
pick.
doubt.
Drow Ranger.
And there we go.
There it is.
Radiant team.
This
Legion
is-
Commander's not the worst. You do will build that Blink Dagger, potentially Shadow Blade as well, so you can try and get on top of the Draw Ranger, and when you do, you should always be able to win the duel, unless there's some help already lined up for Gambit. Not like another one of
Dire
these
team
that
ban.
is sort of okay, but then again, you also have to deal with the pucks, so that's one of the better heroes to limit like its mobility in his ultimate, but just throwing out the coil. Other than that, if you don't get caught by that, or shackle shots or whatever,
10 seconds remaining.
Drow Ranger will also be run down by this hero.
5 seconds remaining.
I wonder if Gambit should go for something like if they should go really
Reserve
greedy,
time.
have the Wind Ranger offlane instead of a support, and go for something that enables the team fight more and has a bit more deep push. So far, they have Puck, Wind Ranger, and Jakiro, which isn't necessarily
Radiant
bad,
team
but I
ban.
think you want like a big team fight ultimate. Something what EG likes doing is picking up a Warlock, which I think
Radiant
would fit
team
their
pick.
draft very well. They would have a lot of crowd control. The ultimate is really strong. That adds a lot of burst damage with the fatal bonds, or I guess it adds a lot of damage with the fatal bonds, and overall just enables this lineup a bit more.
10
Obviously, that
seconds
would leave them a
remaining.
lot very squishy, and like you said, with the Legion Commander, you can pretty much kill anybody
5
here in this
seconds
lineup, really,
remaining.
without a doubt. But they need more team fight right now because right
Reserve
now it's
time.
just Puck and Jakiro, which isn't great. And once if Planet Dog commit to this push, which it looks like they will with the Lycan and potentially, like a mid laner that can enable this push, maybe even a Troll Warlord by all means. DK, yeah, sure, go back
Yep.
for the DK. DK
Dire
Lycan very
team
strong
pick.
combo when it comes to pushing. Go for something that can deter this push, that can delay this push, or commit to your push yourself. Like you either go, I guess you could go all in yourself if Gambit wants to as well. But I would love to see some sort of like team fight
10
and deep
seconds
push. Maybe
remaining.
the Earthshaker actually. I think
Yeah.
Earthshaker could work really well.
I was gonna bring
5
that to you up, but
seconds
then
remaining.
you did it
Yeah,
yourself, so taking that bit away from me. But
I just like to
it's
ramble a lot.
yeah.
Reserve time.
Yeah, it
10
does make sense,
seconds
right? It's the one
remaining.
classic hero that we often see as fifth pick, even that's still left in the
5
pool that
seconds
would fit
remaining.
perfectly well into these kind of situations.
Razor.
That's a bit of a difference, though. Of course, Earthshaker not being a ranged hero, don't get the full like uh, the full power from that. So instead, we're gonna have Kuman as the mid lane Razor, Park in the offlane Windrunner in that support position. So Razor tanky enough in his own right. Decent against Lycan and Dragonite, Legion Command, all these melee cores that are gonna get wrecked if they're linked up, right? If you get linked, you can't stay in a fight as these heroes, really.
I think this is a bit too greedy from Gambit. Like they're full like, oh yeah, we're all ranged, we're all gonna benefit from the draw aura kind of thing. I think this is too greedy. They, in my opinion, definitely needed somebody with some sort of like initiation and counter initiation. Like their Shaker, in my opinion, would have been really good.
Yep.
Even Void would have been good, in my opinion, because they need some sort of team fight control. Right now, if Planet Dog decide to take the fight to them, what can they do outside of the puck sort of combinations? And I suppose the Chikiro. Then there's like a shackle shot and the silence from Jar Ranger, but that's pretty much it. Sure, the Razor is in theory good against the DK and the Lycan, both in the lane against the DK, but also just in theory in team fights. But it also means that, like I mean that's just literally just the Razor. What about the other heroes? If they get
Yeah.
jumped on, like if the Lycan runs onto the Jar Ranger, who's gonna help her? They have the press the attack to get rid of the shackle. Even they have the Treant Protector to enable that aggression with the living armor. This I don't know. I feel like, and the Rubik can obviously steal all the valuable spells that Gambit has. So to me, this is a bit too greedy from Gambit. I think it would have been better if they had gone for a team fight hero right now, or at the very least, some sort of frontline tank. But well, maybe it'll work out. If they crush their opponents on the landing stage, it almost doesn't
Yeah.
matter because they can just run over them.
Yeah, I think that's what Gambit is really aiming for. But maybe you can go for like an old school mech build on a Razor, try and make up for that in that sense. And yeah, outside of that, just don't get in a situation where Planet Dark will feel comfortable running at you. It's all very much heavily execution based, and it's gonna get easier the longer the time goes on. Once these blink days can come out on the park, is also Windrunner. Hurricane Pike on Draw Ranger, you would imagine, is it's gonna be an essential item pickup this game. And yeah, the game is paused right now, so this is why we're not transferring over. Always on
Yeah,
the fly.
who's missing right now? It's Cheshire Cat.
Yeah,
Cheshire Cat is missing.
offlaner.
Well, the lanes are going to be a bit weird. The Puck, in theory, with the Wind Ranger probably, or the Chikiro, like they should be able to contest the safe lane farm, I think. Just because of the draw aura, they have a lot of damage. They already have a lot of damage themselves naturally. And Rubik and Treant are just really not the best sort of like zoning heroes in that scenario. Treant technically is because he's tanky and he deals a lot of damage, but just because they are ranged, it's going to make it that much more difficult to really harass them. If they have an early sentry as well, I think they can even have kill potential onto the Treant. Rubik definitely cannot trade with these heroes once they have draw aura up.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think the lanes are going to be a bit weird. They might even have to sack the safe lane in a sense where the Lycan will be a bit more passive and they focus on the other lanes, just to draw away the whoever support is for the offlane.
It's definitely gonna be an interesting game to look at here, as it's game number 3 as well, the deciding one in this best of 3 series for Blood on the Streets, brought to you by firstblood.io. Gambit Esports versus Planet Dog. The winner will move on in the
10
upper
seconds
brackets and will
remaining.
face up against either Singularity or Angie, and the loser will drop
5
down
seconds
to
remaining.
the lower bracket, only one step away from elimination. So a lot on the line here for these teams in terms of being able to avoid that fate just a little bit longer. Alright. Pretty much said everything that we could about the lanes here uh, without actually seeing the ward placements as well. It's also one of these things that can have a potentially huge impact into the lanes.
By the way, for those of you who didn't tune in for the second game, we did mention how what's their call? Planet Dog. They are not in the European qualifier, a regional qualifier just yet. They did make a roster change. They swapped out Garter for Swift Ending, so the reason why you don't see them on the list is because of that. But this, I think, if you've seen this best of 3, you'll definitely be convinced that this is a team to look out for that can potentially cause an upset, or at the very least can prove themselves to be worthy of being in that group of regional qualifier teams.
Yep.
Same with Gambit, or not necessarily the same with Gambit, but Gambit definitely also a team that has proven themselves and I think have shown that they have a lot of talent. I do think that the first game especially showed that there are weaknesses to be exploited with this team, both in terms of drafting and in terms of execution. But I think they've definitely shown that they. I think the CIS qualifier will need to look out for this team.
Yep. Well, some early wards as expected here. Cheshire get actually the one, of course, as the offlaner. Dragging it down. This will block the camp, I believe.
It should, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So might be counted out.
I think this is the first time that I've not seen somebody TP to the safe lane and immediately try and scout out this ward, because this is sort of like the dance that a lot of teams do, right? As soon as you spawn or as soon as the game starts, you smoke up and then two heroes TP out, one to the off lane to ward and one to the safe lane to scout out the enemy warding. And
30
J4
seconds
definitely
to
has done
battle.
it every time in this series so far, but literally just not in this game. Like,
Still
so
holding on to a smoke and 2 wards, so maybe
yeah.
there's other plans with that. And by the way, he also has his new immortal with these very creepy looking kind of tree monsters sitting on his head. So I wonder if that has a psychological impact on the Gambit.
Everybody's hating on them, but I actually really like them.
I do too.
They
The
do look
battle
creepy, but
begins.
I think
It's
fine.
they're creepy in a good way though.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's at least they're smiling happily, like green and whatnot.
All right, this is gonna be an interesting game. I do think that. All right, I did talk about how Gambit could have or should have probably picked up another hero instead of the Razor, but I do think that the Razor provides them with a bit of like sort of stability and fallback potential in the mid to late game when the Draw Ranger misses her timing. Because Draw Ranger lineups generally have a timing when they want to push, when they want to succeed, and once they hit that timing, they sort of fall off quite significantly. And I do think that the Razor sort of provides them with a bit of a it extends the timing a little bit because the Razor sort of transitions well into the later mid game.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile up top, J4 with the slow here, looking for Always Wanna Fly. Milan not quite finding the body blocks until Always Wanna Fly actually goes for the dual breath here. And, well, especially with Next New coming through, 33 looking for the first blood here. Dark's attempting body blocks of his own. Still gonna draw it here. First blood.io going the way of 33. J4 almost dying here to the creeps and a couple of right clicks, but he will be able to survive. Throw down another W or something.
Well, at least J4 was forced to skill Leech Seed, which is arguably not necessarily the spell he really wants this early on. They did get a kill for it, but Always Wanna Fly is already back in lane, and they did take a lot of damage for this kill. So while it is nice, I almost want to say it almost wasn't worth it. You know, just because again, Treant Protector, level 1, Leech Seed,
It's not the worst.
Take a lot of damage. It's not the worst, right?
It's not the worst. It's,
No money for you.
like it's skilled routinely for these kind of exactly these kind of plays to make them work for these these early rotations, these early kills. So if they can do that again, power to them. Right now he's just soaking up his level 2, I would assume. But yeah, even though the support took a lot of damage, the 3 didn't. So he's now taking complete control of this lane, and this is especially good against a Jar Ranger, who once he hits level 6, it's very hard to lane against. Just with all this right click damage and attack speed coming through, makes trading impossible. But right now, Darkseid is still very vulnerable in that sense. Even with these supports, right? Windrunner, what's Bigman gonna do? He's forced to pick up Windrunner level 1, which is a much worse spell to have than Leech Seed.
Oh, for sure.
Make
That's
that
an
comparison.
awful. That's an awful spell. That said, even though this, Bignum is probably gonna die here, isn't he? Yep, he's dead. No,
Yes.
is he? No, Rubik wasn't in range for a lift. Otherwise, that should have been a kill. Anyway, these other lanes are going very much in Gambit's favor, though. Razor is, as expected, winning this lane, and Puck is absolutely dominating this Lycan, which, to be fair, again, is also expected. Puck by himself is already a strong laner, but with Draw Aura, that's just nasty. 8 extra damage just because of the Draw Aura.
As long as Darkseid gets his level threat Draw is one of these heroes that it's not enough if you shut it down in the laning stage. You need to shut it down throughout the mid game as well, because once you're at level 6, you can solo push towers, you can farm rather easily. And if you then leave it alone at that point, then you can kind of catch up. And especially in a lineup like this, where everyone benefits from every bit of agility that you get yourself.
DK just went into the jungle to get his farm for the bottle, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to get it. That's just the state of the game, I guess. The supports aren't really helping out the other 2 lanes at all because they're focusing on shutting down this Draw Ranger lane, which I'm not even sure is worth it, because Draw Ranger herself doesn't necessarily need the damage as long as she can prevent the aura. I think, you know, I think she's gonna be fine. I remember a game from Virtus Pro like a year ago or 2 where Silent was shut down on the carry position so much. Or was it Silent? No, I think it was Blizzard. He was shut down so much, what he did was he just became like a 5-position Draw Ranger, basically. He just kept buying Wraith Bands. He had 4 Wraith Bands and just bought them to make sure that his team was enabled. And I think this is pretty much what Gambit could do if this Draw Ranger gets shut down. You just, alright, I'm just gonna be here for the aura. I still have Wind Rangers, Razor, and Puck to do all the damage.
The thing is, he isn't even that shut down in the first place, right? I mean, sure, he's not getting as many losses as he really wants to, but he hasn't died yet. Still keeping up with the leading commander. So unless that changes, this aggressive tri-lane is actually a farce in that sense. But looking for another kill here. Always want to fly, going into the tower, forcing on rotation there from Bignum. Slow on 33, but the lift comes through onto Darkseid. With a nuke here, they should be able to finish him off here. 33, you know, plus the damage over time from Milan.
Yeah, they focused on the wrong hero. I'm not sure why they focused on the Treant Protector. If they had focused on the Rubik, that Rubik would have been dead by now. But maybe with a power shot level 2, but he would literally have.
I still trouble here. 33 just keeps going. Just right-clicking them down one by one. They can't really fight him right now. He's already sitting at almost 9 health points with Puma shields. So.
And phase boots. And
yeah.
Phase boots.
Not even feeling these frost arrows a single bit.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Gambit is even trying to sort of defend this lane that much. I think they could have just let the Jakiro die. Instead, they tried to sort of, you know, try and save the Jakiro. The Draw Ranger came in and shot a few frost arrows. If she hadn't done so, she would have survived, actually. And again, Gambit is leading this game. The net worth might not indicate that. The net worth is actually in Planet Dog's favor, but if you just look towards the solo core or the solo heroes on Gambit's side, you definitely, I think this is like a trade you're willing to take, because this Puck and this Razor are running away with lost hits.
So that's a question whether this trade-off is worth it, because if you look at these heroes that are being shut down, Kaiser on the Dragon Knight, it's kind of a hero that's used to it in some senses. So as soon as Kuman decides to try and help his team and make rotation himself, Kaiser will still be able to take the tower on the back of his ultimate. And Lycan, it's not quite as straightforward, but you can always fall back into the jungle and get the rest of your items that way if you really want to. So it's not like they're out of fallbacks and these heroes that are being shut down. So it's gonna be down to Gambit actually using this advantage that they have on the Razor was the puck to, in turn, once again create space for the Drow and actually put on pressure on Planet Dog as a whole to make it work.
Right, I definitely agree. I think that Planet Dog has the sort of like objective gaming sort of fallback. What they can always do is pop the howl and try and take objectives, be it with the DK or without it. But still, I do think it's worrisome that the Razor and the Puck are getting such a good start because they can transition it into really important items. Like you said in the draft, technically Razor could go for the mech, even though he's not going for it. But if he did, that would be a good way for Gambit to like get or get into this game. Puck with an early blink or Veil can be devastating against Planet Dog. So I guess for now they're sort of happy with this trade-off because if it means the Legion commander is having a good time, getting her an early blink also means that they can be more aggressive in the mid game against the Razor and the Puck. So I guess this is sort of the question between who's going to strike first and who's going to be able to execute those sort of gangs or whatever objectives they want to go for better.
Yeah. For now, we see the Stream Protector spending a lot of time just soaking experience away as Stacksack slowly chips away at these creep camps in the jungle. Not a fun place to be when you drow, but yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Surprised that Daxak hasn't really figured it out yet because he should know by now. He should have known or realized that he's not getting as much experience as he normally should. Oh, Kuman. He stole 77 damage. That's just nasty. Together with the draw aura, yeah, it's almost like 100 bonus damage.
Yeah, it's making that rotation now, but a little bit too late. Milan picked up on the fact that he wasn't gonna get anything done here, even with J4 sitting there in Invis. Just be careful because there's a ward station. But yeah, Big
By the
Man
way,
just have the 1 point off on the Shackle Shot just now. 1-1-1 built on Jakiro, so I don't even know if they have goal potential here on the Treant. He was pretty tanky in his own right.
they really don't. They would need constant vision over him with frost arrows. But yeah, for now he should be safe. Yeah, what I was going to point out is Kaiser actually uses Dragon Form already, and he didn't really get anything done with it. He actually, at some point, just returned to farm with it, just because there's not really much else to do for him with it.
Yeah, what can you do if the lane is here every single time, right, on his own high ground, right? I don't think he has seen the other tower. There's a bit of chip damage done to it, but... Oh god. Top lane J4. Is TP actually going to cancel? He caught by the dust, and with that, they're just going to be able to whittle him down with the right clicks. Good catch right there.
Very well done. But yeah, the DK, like I said, I think there's an opening for him if Kuman rotates, but he's just been sitting in his mid lane. I think he realized that he doesn't really need to rotate. What would he need to rotate for? The Legion Commander tri-lane, it dispersed by itself. Like, they just completely let go of that lane and just stopped applying any pressure. Like, the Legion Commander fell back to the jungle, the Rubik sort of fell back to the mid lane, and Trian just was there by himself. So there's no pressure really in any other lane. The Razor can literally sit in his lane and farm away. Nobody's stopping him, and nobody's forcing his hands by any means, so... I think that Planet Dog is just playing too passively right now. I know that they're still ahead in terms of net worth because the Legion Commander has been farming the jungle, the DK has been farming the jungle, and it has given the supports a lot of time to either soak up XP or even get a last hit or two in lane. But I still think that's just not enough. Like, I still think they need to shut down somebody here instead of just letting everybody farm as much as they want to.
Right now, all they have to show for the efforts is Daxak, who's very much behind the farm, right? He's still not feeling comfortable enough to sit in the lane, which gives Bignum some space to get levels to the release, which also very important on the support Windrunner especially. So he might get wrapped around on especially with Kaiser making rotation here. They will get that kill. Didn't get the E off, I believe, but yeah, that will still come through.
TP was
rotation
cancelled.
was about a Windrunner though, so how much is it really worth if they don't get tower now?
They're gonna get the tower with the dragon form,
Dire's structures
or
are
at the very least deal a lot of damage. One TP was already cancelled, so it doesn't really look like Gambit
Dire's
wants to
top
commit to this
tower is
defense.
under attack.
Sure, Windrunner's TPing in, but that's literally just it. And I think
Radiant's
the tower's
middle
gonna
tower
fall.
is
So
under
this is
Look
a
at
good
mid lane
rotation.
though.
Yep.
Look at mid lane though.
Radiant's
They
middle
trade
tower has
a
fallen.
1-for-1
Dire's
tower,
top tower has fallen.
and they have a Twin Protector on this field, so it's actually a really bad trade for them.
Right, and they commit the dragon form for it as well.
Yeah. Now bottom lane, looks like Cheshire Cat is pinging for some help. There's some help coming in form of Always Wanna Fly, but pretty much close to possible
Swift
kill
ending.
to the Lycan.
They really want this Lycan, don't they?
Okay, with Kuman here,
no.
maybe they have the damage if they can grab a hold of him, but he's still
Spot him
get
now.
1600, 1700 health points with
Radiant's
strength
bottom
threats.
tower is under attack.
That's gonna get another tower.
Yeah, they do have liquid fire.
Every single tower that's dead obviously can't be healed up by the
Radiant
Twin Protector, so it's
structures
very
are fortified.
uncharacteristic in my eyes. The Planet Dog is not making any effort
Radiant's
of
bottom tower
defending
is
that.
under attack.
Instead, they're kind of
Radiant's
setting up
bottom
shop
tower
mid,
has fallen.
but they're not even fighting Darkseid. He's very aware of this, and Always on the Fly also already made the rotation to secure this tower.
Overall, just weird movements from Planet Dog. Their decision making
Radiant's
hasn't
bottom
really
tower
led to
is under
anything
attack.
tangible just yet. They're
You'll have to do
maybe
it
they've
in
been
the
waiting on
night.
an item or two. Legion Commander, by the way, did go for Augment instead of going for the straight up Blink, which I think is also good actually. But overall, it just feels like they're not too sure what to commit to just yet. And
Yep.
maybe somebody's making a call, hey, let's wait until I have that certain item. But either way, they feel very hesitant to make like a dedicated move. Like that smoke top was nice, and it definitely showed that they're willing. They realize that they need to do something. But afterwards, it almost felt like, all right, what do we really do now? Can we actually go for another smoke gank? I do think they can. If they wanted to, they could probably smoke up towards the bottom lane and try and force the top top tower. But
Yeah.
it is actually Gambit to make that first move or the next move with a smoke of their own.
They fail on Park, level 10, what they call obviously Kuman. Yasha, face boots, drums, so very fast on his feet, he can seek a lot of damage and now. Running straight into Swift ending here, the smoke actually coming through from Milan. Silence, but no immediate card follow up here, they don't even need it. Swift ending card with the Ice Path, 2 points into it, so always on the fly. Going for that more utility centered build up on his levels. And yeah, they
That
get the
was-
kill, they don't even have to commit the call, so they still have that available if they want to find something else up top perhaps.
Such an awkward timing, because Lycan literally just TP'd into lane for this smoke. Like they wanted to probably smoke for Roche.
Well, 33 turns around onto Bignum, Darkseid is there as well, they throw up the dust in case there's a tree protector, but he already TP'd out, and they do track down the Legion Commander inside the trees. Actually still took a whole lot of damage here. Darkseid had to run away from him. It's actually kind of scary for a moment there, but
This Armor Legion is no joke.
yeah. They
Well-
did get the kill after all, so
They get the kill, and oh, by the way, Kaiser did commit Dragon Form to that gank earlier because they, defensive Dragon Form. So it's a Planet Dog. They're just falling behind by so much experience and net worth, and they're losing map control by the minute as well. They lost 2 towers already. They still keep up on their course in terms of farm, which I think is very relevant here because the draw range has always been contained to their own jungle. The Puck also hasn't really farmed too much in the last 2 to 3 minutes because they've been looking for an opening. But still, even if you keep up in farm, you lose so much map control that going forward, like what's the farm really going to do for you when you don't have like a map to fight for? This Razor is doing so well. Drums, Yasha, Sanj next. He's gonna be able to. I don't know. He's gonna be able to tank. Like I did talk about like a tank that they would need in the fight, right? And I think he's gonna be it.
Radiant's
And
top tower is under
I think it's
attack.
just Planet Dog just being way too passive with their lineup. I do realize that their lineup doesn't peak as early as Gambit's does, but I think they could have been much more proactive on the map.
Alright, looking a little bit further ahead, what's the high ground situation like? Actually, hold on.
Oh, that shot.
Hold on to the thought. Yeah, beautiful Shackle. Kaiser, follow Ice Path. Yeah, they do take quite a while to chew through his armor here, and actually, in fact, he's going to survive. So then comes through, Milan with the backstab here onto Bignum here. He's get dueled at the tail end of his wind run, so he's actually going to be the one falling. And always want to fly. The Ice Path to the front, Swift Ending just circumvents it, gets himself another kill.
I hope that
And
Planet Dog now realize that they're actually not bad, like in terms of fighting power.
Yeah.
They should realize by now that they can definitely take the fight towards Gambit. They've been so, I don't know, scared. They've been impatient, or rather too patient. I'm not sure why, but again, I hope that this fight shows them, hey, we can actually win against these guys. Sure, it wasn't the full lineup, but Planet Dog is pretty tanky. They have 2 armlets. It takes a while for Gambit to chew through those.
This will do nicely.
especially Dragon Knight with the amount of armor that he has right now. 61% physical damage resistance up against a lineup that's very much predicated on having this extra damage from the Drow Ranger. But right now, of course, still level 1 marksmanship. That's adds up to plus 46 damage, which is sizable. But Park doesn't really have too much attack speed to back it up with.
Alright, question. Can J4 be solo killed here by Vignu? I guess he doesn't
Look
need
at
to solo
Milan
kill.
right now, who's getting killed by Cheshire and always on the fly, but on bottom, well, Kuman joined in to ensure that kill, so 2 heroes down all over the map.
Bignum almost solo killed him though, with the medallion. That's like such a huge DPS boost for Bignum. It's a good item pickup in general for this team against the DK.
Radiant's
For
bottom
the
tower
objectives,
is under
obviously,
attack.
with Roshan on the map. But I don't know, Planet Dog, they're just giving away too much on the map. I think they're just playing way too passive. I know that they, I guess, were sort of waiting, or maybe they're still waiting for an item or two, maybe for the omelet on Lycan. But I still feel like they could smoke up with the Legion and DK and just go for kills. Like, smoke up DK, Legion, maybe the Rubik, and just try and go for kills, really. They can. Jakir is an easy kill, Windrun is an easy kill, even Jaw Ranger is an easy kill. I think the only hero that you can't really easily kill is the Razor, and maybe the Puck.
Puck as well, unless he aggressively orbs somewhere or something. Even then, he has max level phase shift already. He's gonna have his blink dagger before he commits any further engagement here, as he's so close. Now,
I guess-
down bottom, maybe that's opportunity here. J4 catching it, always want to fly. Swift ending, going for the ultimate to catch up. Well, Bigman says, well, can look for a good shackle, and he does get it onto Lycan. Drow Ranger here as well. Silence onto J4, and now looking to try and bring down this big wolf. And they do it. The J4 thus comes out, but he only had the TP channel. And this is what happens when you don't have full vision of everyone, I guess.
It is so weird to me why they would. I just talked about how they should be more proactive on the map, but why do they do this with literally the 2 worst heroes on the team? They did it with the Treant Protector and the Lycan, who are the worst gankers on the team, quite literally. Or I guess the Treant is sort of a good ganker, but still. The Lycan is not really the kind of hero you want for these kind of actions. If this had been the Legion, I would have understood, but I just, I don't know.
It would have been fine if it was really only the Jakiro there.
All the Jaw Ranger gets caught out.
Together balls from Flies, he does get that Ice Path off, still level 2, Kuman not far enough away, so he can come back in, looking for damage right onto Milan, so he'll get that kill, moving back to a Blink shown off by 33, the Shackle someone lands on 2, don't think they can do too much with that, unless Kuman, well, he still has plus 140 damage for a little bit, can maybe look for 33, if they can catch up to him here, there's another Ice Path in a couple of seconds, and then
that
the Shackle comes through from Bignum, securing yet another kill, Kuman. He's just so freaking fast as well. Like,
Yeah.
you thought
He's
Milan was faster than Clockwork in game 1. This is even crazier. 475.
I wanted to say it almost as fast as Clockwork, but I guess it's actually faster.
He's much faster. Yeah.
But still, I think this was really good from Planet Dog. I know that they sort of lost the fight considering they lost the Legion Commander and I believe the Rubik. But still, they still won the duel. They got a kill on the Drow Ranger, and I think again this just goes to show that if they had been all 5, I think they would have won the fight probably, because it was just because they didn't have the Lycan, they didn't even have the tower, and they just got picked apart. But I think if they had been all 5, it would have been a different story. And I hope again they realize that they are not really behind by that much. If you look at the graphs, Yeah, now they are behind by 3K in terms of net worth, and I guess a little bit, almost I guess 5K in terms of experience. But that was literally just for the past like 5 minutes. Before that, they were even, if not ahead. So I hope that they make the right moves now. Again, go for smoke gangs on the Legion, Rubik, DK, or tower pushes. What I don't think they should be deep pushing because their lineup isn't really that great at deep pushing just because they have the Legion and the Rubik.
They do have to do those above anything else, try and avoid this trade because he's sitting at close to 11k net worth. Already has a halberd to go with the Yasha, so just some starting Yasha for that, I would assume. Now, well, Cheshire Cat as well. He's the one, even without the Blink Dagger.
Alright.
Oh no, he does the Blink Dagger.
So they have been like Gambit has been taking or chipping on this tower for what, like 30 seconds now? Let it be 25 seconds. Why is the DK not sitting mid with his Dragon Form and hitting the tier 1 mid? Instead, it was just creeps and the like. I guess then he goes for Ancients, which I guess it sort of makes sense because he wants to farm, but he should be pushing down towers or the bottom tower for that matter. Like, when Drow Ranger roster or lineups group up like this, you can split push both lanes, but they're only split pushing one lane, and that's even without the DK.
Yeah. Right now, they traded 2 towers for 1 against this Drow lineup.
Yeah, now everybody's moving back as if Drow Ranger was gonna like force this fight, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't have to just yet. Their lineup, can still go further. They can, like, Drow Ranger can still sit there for another 10-15 minutes and try and farm up and push down the other towers, or the other tower.
I'll take
So-
that.
And it's also a point where you have to consider Roshan as well. Because that's something that Gambit will be looking at for the high ground push. And it's also a target that they can bring down incredibly fast. Just with the bit of minus armor that they have from the Windrunner and just the insane amount of physical damage. And Planet Dark, if they had the map control for it, they could have. Like, they don't have to worry with Roshan lineup themselves. Swift Danny could even solo if he really puts his mind to it. To try and take that away, but it also doesn't seem to be an agenda for them.
They just need the vision and the map control, really. They don't really have any good wards. They just put out a ward from J4 towards the Roche pit, but it immediately gets dewarded as well. Because to be fair, it's one of the most obvious
shackle
wards.
onto
Oh
a
my
creep
god.
here, liking gets caught. Follow with the ice path, he is not gonna get a chance to pop his ultimate.
It's probably tier 2 or Roshan. Probably tier 2 because they're not in position, like they're not grouping up for Roshan just yet. Oh wait, are they going for Rosh? It's Roshan.
That's his
time.
curse.
It's Roshan. Time.
It's always the other thing. So he already has the ultimate going. So that's actually proc.
Hawk getting booted upstairs. All playing, I guess.
Last TP's to the shrine here, and well, he's sitting at very low health. He all flies across, and they even get the
the
duel
last
off. So
second
that's a
duel.
pretty good one. Set space created for Roshan though. Can they come back in? They pop the shrine. Back alive and kicking here. Kaiser has a fresh BKB, but Roshan's already dead. Kuman picking up the Aegis. Gambit going for the safe retreat.
Well, I guess at least they got the puck, but again, they committed the Dragon Form to this, and they're not even going to push. I'm actually not happy with Kaiser's DK performance here. I think he should have been much more proactive in terms of pushing. Instead, he's too scared, I think, of the map, and I guess it sort of makes sense because, you know, the Wind Ranger, I think, has been playing really well on the map, has been enabling a lot of pickoffs here, but I feel like they need to risk more than what they are doing right now. Because right now, Lycan is the only one that's doing something, on like in terms of split push, and they have like 3 heroes that could be doing that, but it's only the Lycan that's doing it right now. And if you're not split pushing as a DK, at least go ganking with the rest of your team.
Yeah. But more often than not, it is Gambit who were the ones ganking in the first place, right? Which was 2 or 3 heroes. And doing exactly what Planet Dark should be doing. Yeah, it's like with all this map control, with all this freedom that they have to do whatever the fuck they want, where's the point where they say, alright, this is where we go high ground, this is where we have all the items that we want?
I think they need a defensive item on the Draw Ranger before they can do that. She has the Silver Edge queued up, but I don't think it's enough. Because if the Draw Ranger gets jumped and she dies, you lose all the bonus damage. So I think you want one defensive item on her. Not necessarily BKB, but maybe just the Hurricane Pike, and then I think you can go high ground. The other heroes don't necessarily need the items, like any specific items. Maybe the Razor with a BKB or a DC.
Treasure Cat is going for Lincoln Sphere as well, though. And that could be the one defensive item that you can also use, of course, on your teammates, including the Draw Ranger, to prevent these duels more than anything else. So
Yeah, but I
It's-
still
it's
think you
Gambit.
want like some sort of mobility item. Well, as we say that, they just go high ground because they realize, hey, you know what? 3 of their heroes are bottom lane. Let's just go high ground.
Treasure Cat is even here to look and try to cancel some TPs, but instead he's the one being dueled up. So if that comes through, gonna get that duel and that kill, but at what cost? Top tier
13
3
seconds for
is
TP though.
that they will not get the chance to finish up the racks though. Is that worth
This is
it?
fine. I think this is fine. I think this is fine. You delayed them so much. Like obviously you don't want to lose the puck like that, but you delay them enough to get the tier 3. And I think if you're Gambit, you take this because it means more map control. If you can take down both shrines, I think you dominate the map right now.
Yeah.
It's not ideal by any means, obviously, but I think you're still fine with this.
Took the full damage and still in an acceptable range, you could say 62. So it's also not something that you have to be too worried about in that sense. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Aggressive Blink here, not quite on target, and now Big Num, he'll find Shackle. There's a bit of help is available too, Kuman coming through, and this could be their Legion Command on plus 33. Really puts on his running shoes, but you can't run away from a Razor like this, so...
This Big No One
Mistakes were
Ranger
made.
has to be massive. Like like he's been finding so many openings. He's been able to pick off so many heroes as well, and he has so much killing potential with just the solo test. And this is the power of this support Wind Ranger in the current meta. Obviously, this is all helped because of the Draw Ranger, and by no means should you just try and do this in your pubs just because, you know, oh, hey, it works here. No.
Don't try this at home, guys.
Don't try this at home, kids. Don't do this. The support Wind Ranger definitely lacks a lot of damage, but because of the Draw Ranger aura, that is not an issue anymore, and he can just solo kill people without an Aghanim's, without the net worth of a core Wind Ranger.
Radiant's bottom tower has
Thanos on the T3 dead. Kuman, he's just happy he's tanking in front lines here with the Solar Crest, the Aegis Quartz in his inventory, and they're gonna get the racks this time as well. Mainly wants to. Swift then come in, pops his BKB, but he was disarmed beforehand, so it's quite a bit of time wasted. Always want to fly. Still gets shot down. You link onto Kaiser instead of Swift ending. Of course, he can't run away as quickly. But will lose the twin-headed dragon.
It was an awful
Once again, right,
engagement for
Yeah.
for Planet Dog. They used the 10-second BKB charge for a Jakiro kill. The rest of the team just wasn't able to follow through. They did. I'm curious why nobody's TP to the shrine that Gambit is taking down right now. They could have backstabbed them. Instead, they tried this awkward sort of initiation with the lift. I don't know.
They just didn't have the really the way to gap close, or they weren't really committing for it outside of Swift ending just running in. Like, just imagine if J4 just sitting behind that and gets ready with the overgrowth at the right time to intercept Gambit when they go back onto the high ground. It's just free reign for the rest of Planet Dark to come in and do their damage, but just lack the positioning to make that happen. So Gambit take a Rax and only lose the support Shakira for it.
Yep, and they take down one shrine. The next one is probably going to fall soon as well, and they just have so much map control. They don't even have, and this just comes back to, you know, Gambit is not even playing a perfect game, which I guess I pointed out, you know, in the what was it, the first game, where the same thing was happening with Planet Dog. You don't even need to play a perfect game if the opponent gives you so many openings, and they don't even need like the perfect map control. Look at the 2 wards that they have. Honestly, these wards aren't even that great because you only see if somebody, you know, rotates in and out of the lanes, but you don't really get, like, you know, technically if they smoke mid, for example, you wouldn't have a clue if that happened. You don't even see if they're farming through most of the camps. Like, these wards aren't even perfect, but quite frankly, they're enough because it's not like Planet Dog has ever applied any pressure towards Gambit in terms of ganks or anything. You're not scared of a smoke gank because they've never done it before, and they're unlikely to do it.
Even now, I mean, look at what they're doing. I mean, 33 just stood there next to J4 for a good, like, 15-20 seconds before he finally realized that he should be farming. Right? It's just, once again, they seem like not quite sure what to do now.
I will say that it's a bit difficult because you are up against a draw ranger lineup, and I do think that once you play against these lineups where they peak at a certain timing, and if we do this, they are going to be really good. Oh shit, we did this. They are really good now. So what do we do? I
Yeah.
think it's really it's sort of suffocating. Oh, Milan. I'm not
He
even
got
sure
caught.
what he's doing up here.
Yeah.
I think he tried to go for a cute play where he's like diverting the creep wave and delaying a push or something, but without the vision, doing that is sort of risky. He did have a TP. He could have easily TP'd out if he wanted to.
We will never know. But Gambit looks like they want to set up for this top lane. I mean, push it down a little bit, grab the shrine on the way, secure this area for Roshan, which may respawn in 35 seconds. So this is a short respawn, definitely in favor of Gambit. If not, well, Planet Dog have a little bit more space. But right now they
Finally.
can't take the chance. The smoke up comes through.
Finally, I'm so
They're
happy about
expecting,
this.
yeah, they're expecting this to be a play around the Roche pit here. But Cheshire Cat's sitting on the high ground. His vision is still being blocked by the trees. But still decent enough position here to catch somebody off guard. But Planet Dog are not even committing for it.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm praising this, but I think this is like, what, 10, 15 minutes too late? They're doing this when Gambit is grouped up
That
already.
is going on to Kuman. They can't even quite reach him here. The duel finally comes out on top of the BKB. Bit of help coming through on top of the Razor. Not even gonna win the duel here. They might still get the kill with Swift End chopping away, forced off the wrong side. Yeah, Kuman is dead without an Aegis, but what cost? To lose 33, and now Swift Ending. He's all the ropes riding in him. He is looking to do the damage here. The shackle on the two others, like the light buff here to control up the Lycan. And Dax, like he's still alive. Swift Ending out to his ultimate, so can't really chase anymore. Now the turnaround is there. The kiting is real. Another ice buff. Always want to fly. An absolute god right now. The backline's Cheshire Cat just helping to clean up together with Bignum. Red Ice, another beautiful double shackle here without the extra damage follow up this time around. Cheshire Cat decides he wants to go somewhere else. But that initiation was like the best thing the Planet Dog could have mustered, and they still didn't get a clean fight out of it.
See, but the thing is, like, it actually was like a really bad initiation, right? Because he didn't get the initial duel, like he lost the moment of surprise, so there was like a 3-second duration where Gambit could react to like that initiation. And even still, the fight didn't look too bad for the Planet Dog. They almost killed the Draw Ranger, they killed the Razor, they killed the Chikiro, they did lose the Lycan, but that's pretty much it. They
also lost the bottom range tracks.
Well, right, they lost the bottom range tracks, but you know that was going to happen anyway. But imagine now if they had done this like previously when Gambit wasn't grouped up, when Gambit didn't have the BKB on the Razor. Oh, no, not the Razor. Wait, they didn't have a BKB. I'm confusing things. But still, imagine if they had done this earlier, right? Planet Dog would be in such a good position.
Well, now as it stands, this kind of team fight status quo is maintained, which means Gambit still have control of this Roche pit. They're gonna secure that Aegis and Cheese for themselves. Cheese on the hands of the Drow, Aegis once again for Kuman, so he can be the one sitting there in the front doing more damage. And, well, can easily
Another
just force
smoking.
down the exposed racks up top unless something's happening right now. Planet Dog is kind of making up for lost time with these smokes, and
Puck
this
does
time
have
initial
the Lincolns. He's not really the target you want to go for. You ideally want to go for the
kind
Draw
of
Ranger.
smoke. That is, they see Puck, they only see Puck, and now they actually jumps in himself. He has the silence with the coil. Pop by 33, he finds the duel of the Draw Ranger, that's a good target, and they will be able to finish that one off. Great start for Planet Dog here, Cheshire Cat, Bignum, Kuman, all of a sudden, out of that extra bit of damage. To his status, Jakir also falls Milan sitting to the sides, you're able to blink his way out. Swift ending, he's running down Bignum until his ultimate comes through, and well, Kuman, he stole a lot of damage, so even without the draw aura, he can still right click you down just like that. It's kind of saving that, especially if you can get a little bit of more work done. Milan, blink to the side to see him, I think, at the last second, but unable to cancel the TP, so Milan with the place. And it's life, so only lose a Lycan. It's actually exactly the fight the Planet Dog wanted, right? Find the
Pretty
duel
much.
onto the Drow and take her out of the fight immediately.
Great presence of mind there from 3-3. Like that, they got jumped on, or they got really surprised with with the smoke from Gambit. They failed the initiation of the puck, which quite frankly shouldn't have. I don't think you ever want to initiate on the puck in that scenario anyway. But yeah, great presence of mind to basically walk up to the Jaw Ranger and just duel her. They immediately killed her. They took away a lot of damage. Like the Wind Ranger was almost useless in that fight after that because she herself didn't deal any damage anymore. Razor, sure, he stole a lot of damage, but still, they controlled him very well with a Treant Protector. I think if Planet Dog keeps finding more of these openings, I think they will be able to get back into this game. I mean, they already sort of are clawing their way back into the game. Sort of. I mean, they're still behind by like 10k, you know?
Yeah.
But all things considered, I do think like these are confidence plays. They need more confidence plays so that they can crawl back into the game. And I think one more good team fight for them, and I think Gambit will respect them a little bit more.
Any play that does not make them lose the game right now is a win for them because
Yes.
it's really Gambit's turn to just go down high ground here with the Aegis and Chase, and this is exactly what Kuman is doing here with a big item top of him. Lincoln Sphere of his own now, so he's still an issue.
See that? They didn't see it.
Here. The Lincoln Sphere comes down 33, messes up the duel, so now he loses a lot of his damage. Kaiser trying to take care of that. Kuman actually dropping quite low, but of course, yes, the Aegis is going to come back. He will not come back with the extra damage that he stole. He can still continue nonetheless, chopping away at the super melee racks. Now, once again, the Lincolns comes through. Ice Bomb, they just shoot through Milan. Immediate buyback here, but they already lost the racks. Gambit, they don't necessarily need to stick around if they don't want to.
They didn't see the fact that he just got a Lincoln delivered. That could be game breaking. Yeah, that could be game breaking.
Well, duel will be back in 5 seconds. Oh, check again with the call. Snaps on the Dragonet. Not the exact time that you want to go on. The route will be meted off. The tier 3 dies in 33. Well, comes through. Someone blocked it, and now that's. Oh, Kuman actually wins it. They have a duel though, with the insane amount of burst coming through from the rest of his team. Always on the fly. He'll die to swift ending. Couple of swipes from him. That's about all he can really do with his BKB about to run out. His ultimate as well. Good silence from Daxak. They're still on a hunt here, and they feel fine with force up into the left. So Daxak, if he dies here, still has the cheese chest again the silence here. Trying to create some chaos. They're retreating as a cohesive unit back up to the shrine now. They're ready to fight. Kuman in the front. Looking for more swift ending. He's linked up, cannot run away from it really, and now it is Planet Darko's running. The shackle will latch, and that's the dead Lycan. That's Dash J4 here. Not the dust being thrown out, just for good measure. Kaiser, well, he'll be able to make it up to the high ground, but until here, no further. The body blocks come through. Kuman with the more right click, Daxak with the last one. Don't get the kill over to the Razor here, and they're still fighting. They're still trying here, but they're going to lose another duel. Desperation play from 33 as GG has to come out. Gambit make it a 2-1 victory in this series.
Gambit absolutely got crushed in the first game to an extent where you have to think to yourself, please just not let it be like another 2-0. You know, you don't want to like see a team get crushed 2 times in a row and then Gambit just come back like this with. Well, you could argue that they had sort of 2 cheesy drafts. You know, Troll. They had Huskar, Dazzle, Troll, and now the draw lineup. But I think especially with the draw lineup, this is something that Planet Esports should have been prepared for. And I also think that they had all the tools and all the means necessary to prevent this Jaw Ranger lineup from succeeding. But I think they just played way too passive in the lightning stage and even afterwards. But what a performance from Gambit!
Absolutely. But yeah, it is what we were talking about, right? Drow can catch up, and the rest of the lineup is always going to benefit from that, just that base extra damage, and that's exactly what happened. Cheshire Cat had a really good game. Kuman as well. Like, it's no issues whatsoever this entire time, didn't he?
Right.
On his Razor.
And normally I would probably pick Bignum for endline MVP for this game, but I think Kuman deserves it for this game because I think the way he dominated the mid lane and then dominated the game itself, I think the way he moved and the way he itemized was absolutely perfect. The Lincolns at the end, I think, definitely broke the last straw on Planet Dog. But also before that, the early Halberd, the Manta style, the AC, he just itemized pretty well, and he overall, I think, just took control of the game by himself with a hero that doesn't necessarily control the pace of the game that much. I mean, Razor is just Razor, right? Yeah. But together with the lineup itself, they always wrapped around the Razor, making sure, all right, we didn't really necessarily draft like the classic tank frontliner, but if we itemize correctly on this Razor, he can be that
He can
frontliner
be
that
that,
they
yeah.
can't take down. Yeah.
And you could say he was the hero that it needs. So yeah, I can definitely go with that. That he can be the Endline MVP audio for this game. Endline audio MVP for this game. For the entire series, though, I still want to give it to Bigman
Yeah.
because in his last game, of course, we named him MVP for that one on his Disruptor. And in this game as well, the Windrunner, he got so much done, especially just with the simple item pickups, right? This Medallion and Solar Crest did a lot of work. The Shackles as well. I mean, yeah,
See,
just create a lot of space and got a lot of control factors done, a lot of damage as well, courtesy of the Drow Ranger. It's almost mixed with Always Wanna Fly because he also had some amazing ice pass this game. Also did approve of the particular skill build that he went for, just focusing on that a little bit more. But yeah, overall for the series, I want to give it to Bignum just considering his previous performances in the
I
other
agree.
games as well.
I agree. Bignum, his Wind Ranger performance again, I think it was very, very great. It was one of those performances where you wonder, why doesn't everybody pick Wind Ranger? Like, if it's that strong, why doesn't everybody pick Wind Ranger? It's not that easy, as we pointed out earlier. It's not that easy, but he certainly made it look easy. All his crucial shackles, the fact that he was almost able to solo kill heroes like the Legion Commander or like the Lycan even, just because he had a solo crest or like a medallion. It was absolutely ridiculous. He set up so many kills. He had 14 assists, the most out of his team. Well, I don't know. Overall, I think just Gambit itself, like whoever came up with both these drafts, absolutely amazing. The Drow Ranger draft, especially, I think was very well set up with the Jakiro Puck. Jakiro Puck is like an opener that doesn't necessarily give away the Drow Ranger Drow Ranger pick, but if you have the option to go for it, I think um, you should, and I think Gambit showed why it's so effective. I still think that it could have been exploited. I don't think it was perfect by any means. I think that Planet Dog had all the means to stop this, but I think maybe it just got into their head. The fact that they're sort of playing against another like cheese lineup. You just lost towards Dazzle Huskar, and now you're getting Drow Ranger. I think that sort of gets into your head, and I mean we pointed out numerous times in the game where everybody had sort of like this moment where what is 3-3 doing here? He's literally just standing here next to the Train Protector, not doing anything. What was Milan doing at the top lane, getting caught off by like four heroes? I think overall, Planet Dog maybe not just maybe they still need to iron out things with Swift Ending as the new carry player, as the new um, team member, but certainly in this game they didn't really look calm, cool, or collected.
That's maybe an issue that's like it comes out of shot calling as well a little bit. Maybe they're struggling with that. It's like one of these issues that you might have to look at as a team. Of course, especially we said it a couple of times. It's a team that has to go through the open qualifiers, which at the end of the day is still very brutal. Best of one all the way through until the end, which is I believe a best of three traditionally. So it's brutal. You have to win every single game. Only get two chances with the two qualifier runs.
Yeah, definitely a long road ahead for Planet Dog. So with that, Gambit Esports will move on. They win the series 2-1. They will be heading into our winners bracket finals, and Planet Dog fall below to the lower bracket. We don't know who they will be playing with. That'll be the winner of Crescendo versus M19. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Any shout-outs you guys want to do before we wrap things up?
Just shout out to the viewers, and as always, thanks for watching.
Awesome.
Same for me.
So this has been the Blood in the Street Dota 2 Championship. I'm Nosaurus, joining me with Skim Gaming and Drag and Drop Dota. This is brought to you by FirstBlood.io and Antlion Audio. We will see you guys next time, and enjoy the rest of your day.